ba doo ba 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 doo ba. La ba da doo ba da baby doo ba da ba baby dee ba doo bow. Scuba da ba boo ba bee ba da ba da ba boo ba ba. Da ba doo ba 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 boo ba da ba. All right. So that's cool. That's pretty cool. It seems like that's working now. Seems like that's working now. All right. Nobody panic. Don't worry. It's helping us prepare for the future where internet shortages are a daily occurrence. The collapse of society worldwide. Another strange comet, an EMP, shot down from an alien species to break our infrastructure, to break the conscious mind of the social species that is human beings. Shutting down the internet for humans on planet Earth would be akin to giving an anesthetic, not an anesthetic, what's stuff that totally knocks you out, makes you unconscious? I guess, yeah, anesthesiologist, right? So we're back. Hopefully it's, nope, it's still, looks like it's still lagging. Gosh, darn it. What's a good old-timey word for like shoot? Shucks? Shucks. Drat. Expressions of discontent. Old-timey expressions of discontent. Balderdash? Hey, what's up, Daisy Vibes? What's going on with you? I'm looking for ways to express myself because I just tried to stream right now and I was getting a lot of lag and it looks like it might still be lagging. So let me know if the connection's bad. And I was wondering, what are some old-timey expressions of discontent? And so I'm looking at a list here. Balderdash, blast, bother, consarnet, oh, consarnet, a minced oath likely a substitute for God darn it. Never heard that one before. Drat, rats, egad, fiddlesticks. Yeah, that's a good one. Fiddlesticks. Good grief. Sheesh. What in tarnation? I'm doing all right. How are you? What's cooking? Good looking? How's 2026 going so far? You're a day into it. How's it shaping up? I wanted to play this little video to get the conversation started. Let's see. How is this? Yeah, it looks like it's kind of working now. Looks like it's kind of working now. You're a little stressed? What for? The weight of the new year on your shoulder? Are you, is it just kind of confusion? Like, what will the new year bring? What'd you do for New Year? Are you with family? Friends? Um, when I started my YouTube channel, it was right during the new year when I released my first video. Actually, it was my second video, but it was basically my first real video because the first one was kind of just I don't know, it was just a little featurette. But the first one that I released was on New Year's resolutions because it was New Year's and I wanted to, I don't know, kind of dive into this idea of New Year's, this belief that somehow we cross some sort of threshold, right? That, hey, howdy, neighbor. It's good to see you back. How you doing, Amber? It's 2026. Are you ready? The future is here. Talking about New Year's resolutions. Maybe you want to share some of yours. A while ago, I was interested in a sort of psychology of New Year's and whether or not it was helpful in actually getting people to kind of change, right? This sort of belief. I mean, when you think of it, you haven't really crossed any hard line or threshold, but we kind of think of it as almost like a psychological threshold, right? It's almost like a chance to, at least in our minds, it's a chance to start doing things differently. So a lot of us, we make these resolutions. And I was interested, like, how many people actually keep their resolutions? And I looked at one aspect of resolutions because most people, most of their resolutions are like health related, right? A lot of people resolve to, I don't know, eat less fast food or go to the gym or go on walks more, right? Something good for our health. And so if you just look at gym memberships as kind of like Lucy, you're doing good? Nice. Chillin', chillin'. What's up, Marisa? VIP. That's cool, man. Start off the new year with the raid. Sick. Sick, sick, sick. Welcome, everyone. What y'all up to today? VIP Marisa, you're a VIP in my eyes. Hopefully everyone's doing all right. Who's got a New Year's resolution on the mind that they want to share? I'm just here drinking tea, sucking on a lollipop, reflecting on whether or not New Year's is a real thing, right? Like, I mean, it's not a real thing. It's like an arbitrary line that we draw between different epochs, times in our lives. But does it have a real psychological effect? Shroom Raid, what's up? You resolved to read more erotica? All right, whatever floats your boat, man. It's crazy kind of world that we live in, right? It's like a lot of things don't make sense. Shit's kind of confusing, feels real dangerous outside. We've all been infected with this idea of social media and replacing real relationships and family with crazy communities like this that just live in some artificial virtual space. And in environments like that, sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and say, fuck it, I'm just going to read some erotica right now. No judgment, no judgment, no judgment. I got tea. We're good. What's up, Aristotle? Dude, Aristotle's in the house. No fucking way. Hells yeah, dude. What's up, Aristotle? My man. one of the only other philosophers trying to bring knowledge and new possibilities and critical thinking skills to this young generation of crazy lost souls online, just getting lost in different virtual games online. It's crazy, man. Appreciate you being here, dude. Anyone, you're welcome to join Discord. I'm going to jump in. If you do a little Discord command, you get hopefully a link. Maybe I'll just share it. Free share it. I'm going to jump in the server if anyone wants to talk live, because this is a channel all about conversations, right? Rational conversations, like talking and not getting all bent out of shape, that we use different words and have different thoughts and feelings, and sometimes we're in different psychological states that make us more or less sort of social, and sometimes we become ill-humored and temperamental and lose our shit, and that's all right. Because here we have a community that says, look, buddy, I understand I've felt that way. I've lost my shit once or twice in my life, but I know what you're going through. And instead of feeding that anger and that frustration, we manage it. We dissipate that energy and we turn it into something beautiful and creative. We think about some sort of erotic fiction and a virtual character that might be put in some strange situation where those emotions were relevant. So how's everyone feeling? Nika's got some tea right now. What kind of tea you drinking, Nika? Tea-rotica sounds delicious. Damn straight. Duncan, creative mind, throwing down the puns. Hell yeah. You won't hear me complain. My only goal this year is to fart more? Amber. Man, if I resolved to fart more, I think my wife would finally suffocate and die. She's been telling me for years now that my farts give her asthma. And for a while, she actually had some evidence there because she got asthma. But it wasn't because of my farts. It was actually because the apartment next door actually started burning to the ground, and they blocked off the streets. And we were like, what do we do? We can't drive away. So we kind of just closed off all the windows and stuff. And we thought the smoke would be manageable, but it actually got bad enough to where we finally had to just walk away and go someplace else. And afterwards, man, her lungs were kind of messed up for a while. But she still claims that my farts have a real impact on her respiration. And so my resolution would be to fart a little bit less. But real, what do you mean by real and years? What are these things? Just crazy calendars. I like your ducks. Duncan says, I'm glad they found each other. Yeah, we all need someone special, right? Because after all, you're nobody until somebody loves you. What's the flavor of the lollipop? This is like some kind of Spanish candy. So I think it's like mango, and then it's got some of that spicy stuff that they put on those candies. It's pretty good. So where was I? Who's got resolutions that they want to talk about? Are you making any resolutions this year? I'm saying that one's off the table, yo. I think so many times in the past I've had resolutions. One time I wanted to read more books, and I did a pretty good job. Anyone have willing to share a success rate of New Year's resolutions for you? I looked into this because I was wondering, well, how durable are our resolutions? Like, how long do they last? And if you look at gym memberships, they spike right at January because people are all like, yeah, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to work out. I'm going to have that, strong body. I'm going to go to the beach and show off and be proud of myself. And it turns out that for the first 2 weeks, gym membership or gym attendance is very, very high. And then it basically kind of drops off pretty rapidly, and there's kind of like a slow tail to it. So it seems like, there is this kind of psychological threshold that we move through at the beginning of the year, which seems to motivate us, at least at that moment. But that motivation, it kind of like loses its momentum. We lose momentum, and then we kind of slow, and then we fall off, and then eventually we just default back to our previous state. Refly says your VIP is to beat Marisa in this fighting mini game. Well, yeah, well, I mean that's not going to carry you through the whole year unless you keep coming back regularly and you beat her every single week. I suppose that's cool, man. All jokes aside, I do plan on getting and playing The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge this year. Hmm. Okay. That sounds neat. Good games. I haven't really thought about games. I've got more pressing issues on the mind most of the time, but I do kind of retreat into virtual worlds from time and time again. So I guess Nightmare Before Christmas. I remember when that came out. I think it was like, when was it? Around 2000? When did Nightmare Before Christmas come out? Man, that was a long time ago. It's 2026 already? So that was like 25 years ago when that movie came out. But pretty incredible for its time. I remember all the claymation was really kind of, it was like Jim Henson reimagined. It was like that kind of aha moment for people in the film industry. And great musical, and all the soundtracks are great. And it's awesome because you can play it during Halloween and Christmas, right? So that was pretty revolutionary. 1993, it was that old? Man. Yeah, it is old. The Oogie Boogie Man. Some great music in that. So who wants to watch a little video that I made about New Year's resolutions? Or who has a topic of conversation that they'd like to bring up? I'll wait for the thoughts and the comments to trickle in. And while I do that, I'm going to show you a little film that I made. When did this come out? I'm not sure. It was a while ago, like 4 years.
It's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Howdy, partner. It's so good to see you. How are you doing? Come on in. It's cold outside, isn't
I'm all right. Yeah, it is cold.
Sit down. Let's warm up by the fire and just have a good conversation, shall we? Of course I'm excited. It's New Year's. Or close enough, right? This is the first time we've seen each other since then. Did you make a New Year's resolution? Was it something totally awesome but also probably unattainable? My New Year's, partner, it was a little bit bittersweet, if you know what I mean. I planned on going downtown to a dance called Resolution, my wife and I. Here, check it out. Celebrate good times, come on, skadooba-da-doo, dooba-da, woo, woo. But she wasn't feeling well, so I lost my dance partner, and I just didn't have the motivation to get out of the house. So she went to bed early, and I just came in here, and I did some self-reflection, dangerous activity, because
Yeah, DCI Banks, we're watching me watch me because I don't know what to talk about, and I didn't make a video for this year's New Year's, but I did make a New Year's video like 4 years ago, and I thought, let's see where I've come since then. Let's see how many wrinkles I've added to my crow's feet. Let's see how many. As you can see, my hair has got a lot more gray, baby. So you tend to agree with yourself when you watch yourself watch yourself. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know, maybe we'll disagree. Maybe we'll disagree with ourselves. So back then, look, you could see how young I was. You can see how young and full of life and energy I was. And over the last 4 years, you might think that someone elected me president of some sort of world nation, right? Have you seen those before and after pictures of the presidents that take office and they're like all full of energy and they look young and healthy, and then, 4 years later they're just like these defeated shells of human beings? That's how I feel. That's how I feel. Um, all right, so let's see what I had to say back then. Maybe I can inspire myself, right? Because to be honest, like, I didn't get excited this New Year's. Did anyone else get excited? And in my lack of excitement, in my state of surprise at my own lack of excitement, I was like, is there something wrong with this? Shouldn't I be excited, or is this just what it means to get old and wise and numb to the world? What do you think? All right. What else did I say? So, self-reflection.
I feel like maybe I came upon a important but also deeply unsettling conclusion. And that is this. If you look back at all of my past resolutions, well, I never achieved any of them. Why do they all fail? Do you have this problem, partner? Should I be worried? I feel like I'm in the woods, and there's all these paths radiating out in all directions, and I keep taking different paths, and I keep ending up back in that forest. If only there was like a trail of breadcrumbs that I could follow, or maybe someone with a lantern, someone like you, partner, can you help me get out? I'm scared, because after all, Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. What is wrong with me, partner? Am I insane? Don't answer that. In fact, before we get too lost in thought, we should celebrate. It is the New Year's after all, partner, and it's afternoon somewhere. Cheers to new beginnings. Oh, oh God. Humor me here. Assume that I am not insane for a minute. I know, that's a big assumption. Maybe I am doing something over and over again. I'm just not aware of it. Maybe there's something that I'm baking into this recipe that just dooms me to failure again and again. It's always good to play devil's advocate. Maybe the point of making resolutions is not to actually meet them. Maybe it's just some exotic social ritual that we all participate in. You know, like the birds of the Amazon rainforest. We do a little dance, we build a little nest, we get down tonight. But that's not how I feel. I actually want to achieve those goals. When I told myself,
So, what's up, Balthier? I'm just kind of doing I don't know, a video response to, this was like the first YouTube video, the real, like, scripted video that I made. And it just so happened to be right before New Year's. And so I was kind of entertaining, like, these ideas about, like, what are New Year's resolutions for? Right? And do any of us actually keep them, or do we just get together during parties and try to convince our friends that we're going to actually like do something different, that we're actually capable of like going to the gym? And do you think it's just kind of a social ritual, song and dance, where we try to convince other people around us that we've got big plans for the New Year's? Or do we actually make resolutions and try to keep them? And if so, why do they seem to fail more often than not? Yeah, but that version of me, I was just saying that 4 years ago, man, I was like full of energy, bubbling, full of hope and dreams and inspiration. Now look at me now. It's like I took office as the president of the US and I've just aged like 10 years. So Refly says start with your resolution in spring instead of winter. So Refly, that might be a good proposition, right? Like maybe let's just push the date back so that it aligns with the natural seasons that symbolize rebirth and new beginnings, right? Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So very, very astute of you. Maybe we should change our date of resolution. Um, Maybe that would increase the success rate of resolutions if we did that. Very interesting. We got some smart cookies in this stream. Um, usually, usually just drink and then go to sleep, Balthier. That's what your resolution is. This year, I just went to bed at like 11. Oh, well, that's what you did during New Year's. You just drink and then go to sleep. Yeah, I didn't do anything really. I was just shocked at my lack of excitement. Um, so, is it performative? I don't think so because like like I was saying in this video, when I set those resolutions, I actually had hope of achieving them. And so, I don't know, let's figure out what I've forgotten this video. So, let's figure out what else I had to say about it.
If I was going to write a novel, I really wanted to do that. When I told myself I wanted to read more, I really wanted to. I just couldn't seem to maintain the habits necessary to, perpetuate those. So why was I thinking about all these things to begin with? Well, it's New Year's. New Year's is probably a special time. Do you feel empowered, right? Do you feel an extra boost of motivation to go out and seek out those life goals? I do. Maybe it's a placebo effect. Maybe we're just raising our expectations of success so we're more likely to go out and reach our goals. Yeah, I feel like the phoenix rising up from the ashes and spreading his wings, and I can just soar off into the distance towards all of my future goals. And we see this kind of play out in the data, right? If we look at gym memberships, yeah, we see a huge boost in January. And it stays strong for a couple of weeks or so, and then it kind of just falls back down to baseline. Maybe we all just run out of steam. Maybe that extra boost in motivation was enough fuel to kind of bump us along the path, but not enough to get us all the way there. Because let's just list some of our resolutions, right? What are some popular ones? Write a novel, learn to play piano, start a new business, get healthy. That's like 13% of us right there. And what do all of these resolutions have in common? Well, they're really big. They're really distant. There's a million different paths you could take to reach that goal. Maybe our resolutions are just kind of pie in the sky. Wouldn't it be great if we could go up there and just cut up that pie into a million slices and create kind of like a trail bait path to success? Like this?
Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
But that's not reality. Help me out here, partner. I don't want to squander my resolution power on pie in the sky. What do I do? Well, Roy, what you should be doing is you should be thinking about this completely differently. Treat it like a business proposal to yourself. Begin 2 weeks before January 1st, diligently typing up into a PowerPoint with copyright protected art, pie charts and line graphs, and all of the other metrics that you need to gauge the likely success of your plan. And then you can review it. I like this here. Nah, that seems like too much work. Isn't there just some, like, general thing that I could resolve to do that would help me out no matter what my resolution? Well, let's think about that, right? Maybe there is. Break it down with a quote. Partner, you've heard this. Will Durant said, "We are what we repeatedly do, and therefore excellence is not an act, it's a habit." Any goal that we set for ourselves is going to require us to create good habits. If you want to write a novel, you're going to have to write regularly, every day even.
So Balthier says, I definitely need to read more, especially from books instead of news articles. I think we need to bring the old hair back. Yeah, don't you think I look more, I don't know, touch of gray? Doesn't that give me a little bit more authority? Back then, I was just some brash young individual that was over optimistic. You like the crazy hair? We can go back to crazy hair. Refly says business proposal. Time to get Shark Tank with your New Year's resolutions. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that would help though, because, very few of them actually get selected. So you might go on to Shark Tank being like all bright eyed and bushy tailed, and then, you get shut down, and that's just kills your whole idea. And, and if you hadn't have actually gone to Shark Tank and felt that like crushing defeat, maybe you would have been like more inclined to actually follow through with it on your own. Who knows? Maybe that's a, like a non-intuitive thing that it's like self-defeating. So yeah, Will Durant said, excellence is a habit, right? What did he say? You are what you repeatedly do. Um, so yeah, habits. And I was talking about, I tried to create all these metaphors for thinking about things like New Year's resolutions, but this applies to, I think, any goals in general, right? Like if you try to set a large goal, a very large goal, like starting a business or writing a novel or learning to play piano or getting healthy, right? If you're not already if you're not already keeping up and maintaining your health, those are big goals. They take a long time and they take good habits, and they're daily things that you need to do. So if you're writing, you got to write every day. If you're playing piano, you got to practice every day. If you want to get healthy, you got to eat right and exercise, at least most days. So I was trying to think about, instead of focusing on that like big pie in the sky goal and focusing on that point in time where you've already achieved it, if you broke down that big pie and you cut it up into a lot of little pieces and then you organized it just as a tiny little slice, right, every single day that you could get, how would that shift in the way that you think about your goals, change your success rate for achieving them? And I think a lot of authors have said similar things about thinking in terms of, um, breaking down large problems into small digestible pieces, right? And then creating a lot of sub goals along the way so that, your reward structure is different, right? If you don't think about all of the sub goals, to that long term goal, then you don't feel that reward. You don't feel that an additional motivation. You don't feel like you've gotten anywhere, right? So just like I was talking to my mom, and we were talking about reading actually, Balthier. And we were talking about how when we go through, sometimes when you reading a book, you just want to get to the next chapter, like that's your real goal. Has anyone felt this before? It's like it almost feels like the reason that I read books is to just finish chapters now, right? Because sometimes I just space out and I'm like, I'm not even reading the material anymore. My mind's just a total different direction, but I'm still like eagerly reading forward. I'm not going back and being like, oh, I probably missed something there. I should go back and reread that. I'm just like, nope, I'm going towards that goal. I'm going to reach the end of that chapter. And then it's just all of those chapters. Maybe I just got addicted to the little like feeling of success when I found myself completing a chapter. Balthier says, my hair gives off crazy scientist vibes when it was longer. I was trying to like simulate Einstein, actually. That was a conscious Einstein and Bob Ross. That was my vision. Was somewhere between Einstein and Bob Ross. There must be like a science creative genius lurking, right? So I was like, yeah, Bob Ross, Einstein, that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I want to portray myself as. So that was the plan. Tell me if it worked or not. So you said you heard somewhere that dedicating 30 minutes a day to something, 30 minutes a day to something would put you in the top 10% in the world of how skilled you are at that thing. After how long? 30 minutes a day for how long? A year? A couple years? Let's see if we can. Can you fact check that for me? Can you find a source? Yeah, 30 minutes a day. All right, let's.
Going to require us to create good habits. If you want to write a novel, you're going to have to write regularly, every day even. If you want to get healthy, you're going to have to stick to your diet and stick to your gym schedule all the time. It has to be a habit. So how do we build good habits, maybe, is the question we should answer. And I think, well, at least one of the keys to unlocking this mystery is got to be an environment. Like, think about this environment here. This is a great environment for having a conversation, right? There's no TV, no distractions. It's a nice, warm, inviting place. We're sitting opposite one another and we can just gaze longingly into one another's eyes until we cry tears of joy. Here's another example. Why is the gym a better environment for exercising than my living room? Well, there's no couch at the gym. There's no Xbox. There's no Call of Duty. What else am I going to do at the gym? Maybe I could do some figure drawing, right? I mean, after all, there's a lot of nice anatomy on display here. But no, I can't do that. There's also social pressure, right? There are cultural norms that you have to respect, even at the gym. So in my experience, really the biggest challenge wasn't what am I going to do when I'm at the gym? It was really, well, how do I motivate myself to actually get to the gym, to get to that good environment where the habit just feels natural? The plot thickens here, partner. How do I get to a good environment? Well, let me tell you the story about Roy trying to wake up in the morning for gym. Alarm goes off an hour earlier than I'm used to. I hit the button, and then I close my eyes, and I say to myself, don't worry, I'm not going back to sleep. I'm just going to lay here and rest my eyes for a bit. And then what happens? I just fall back to sleep. The next morning, the
Oops. Sorry about that.
alarm goes off, and this time I try to become the cheerleader inside of my mind. You can do it, Roy. I believe in you. All you have to do is pull off those covers and do it one leg at a time. That doesn't work. Next day, I start getting frustrated. I start commanding myself, just get up. What is wrong with you? Are you pathetic? How hard can it be? Get your stupid butt out of bed, you lazy sack of potatoes. And that doesn't work either. So this makes me believe that, whatever my willpower is, it's definitely unreliable in these situations. But there's another problem here, because shouldn't being healthy be incentive enough for us to get out of bed? Like, what if we think about incentives as having some sort of gravitational force that attracts us to them? And the bigger the incentives, right, the bigger the force. So you would think, wow, being healthy, man, that offers a lot of benefits. Let's just think of them. You look better in a Speedo. You don't get sick as often. You feel better and more optimistic because of all the endorphins. You even, as it turns out, get a cognitive boost. And you add years onto your lifespan. That should be just pulling us out. But maybe it's like a distant planet, where it's enough to keep us in a stable orbit around it, but it's not enough by itself to pull us in. So there must be something.
So it's called the 100-hour rule. Also, 30 minutes is actually extra. So you could do it less than 30 minutes. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, if you think, I guess the top 10%, the top 10% is actually a pretty wide range of skill, right? Especially because of, what is it, the Pareto law, right? The 80-20 rule. Most of the like 20% of the population are doing most of the work or production. And there's also like a bunch of video YouTubers applied this to like video creation, content creation. They call it like ship at 80% rule, where basically the amount of effort that you have to put in dramatically increases after a certain point, because it's probably like a skill mastery is probably has some kind of approaching the limit, right? So there's diminishing returns. Um, the further and further you get, the more refined your skill, but also those skills that you acquire later on are more of a refinement rather than a like important rule that you follow, like a fundamental. So you get the fundamentals down, and getting the fundamentals down, that gets you to 80% probably. But if you think about just fundamentals, if you take a person that has just fundamentals down and you compare it with an actual master, there's a huge range between that person that knows the fundamentals and the master. So it's not like, so what I'm saying is, I guess that 10%, maybe you shouldn't necessarily like toot your own horn right at that moment, just because now you should be comparing yourself to that top 10% and where you are there. But I guess, it is kind of encouraging that to know that, well, that's not nothing, right? I guess I'm just a perfectionist. I'm thinking about, it's not good enough to be in the top 10%. I want to be in the top 1%. If I'm really going to put my, all into something, then I don't want to just, and maybe that's probably me because I'm always kind of the jack of all trades. So I'm like, God damn it. I wish I was a master at something. Maybe it'll be freestyle rap. Who knows? 18 minutes a day for a year is enough to get into the top 5%. So what do we want to do, Balthier? I mean, what ought we to do? What should we be practicing for 18 minutes a day? Because that's not a lot, right? So what should it be? You and I, what skills do we not have that we ought to be working on for 18 minutes a day? Or anyone? Ideas. What kind of skills? Lion taming? Tightrope walking? Juggling? I think juggling, for any of you that don't already have it. AI? Probably AI, so I can remain employed. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Yeah, AI. But what skills do you need? What kind of AI skills do you need? Prompt engineering? Is that the AI skills we're talking about? Because, God, man, that just sounds, for some reason, it just sounds boring. Just sounds like awful. Just telling a machine what I want it to do. What's the fun in that? What's the point? If anyone's capable of doing it, then why should I bother, right? Got to implant AI into the workflow. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think that I think something major is going to happen to society. I don't think that we can't let AI take over everything, right? We can't let it take over everything. It can't take over everything. Governance or risk management. DCI Bank says governance and risk management. That's what we should be practicing for 18 minutes a day. You got a good link? They got something on, what are those free online academies? Khan Academy, something like that. Or just get a textbook. Or their YouTube classes, online schools that we could do. governance and risk management. That sounds like something that you would want to go actually get someone that knows something about it and take a class. I don't know if 18 minutes a day of me dabbling in risk management governance. Yeah, well, who knows, right? Maybe it would. Maybe it would be enough. Coursera? That's right. Coursera and Khan Academy was the other one that I was thinking of. And then there's the other one like Brilliant or something, right? But I think they do mainly, well, I'm not sure. I took a Coursera. I took one Coursera course. It was pretty good. It was pretty good, actually. It was on learning how to learn. Because if you think about it, like one good skill, a meta skill, is to be good at learning. And so it kind of went through a lot of the stuff that I had already kind of reviewed in some of my cognitive science courses about, things like distributed learning. So and actually this is relevant to that, to what you're talking about, Balth, your 18 minutes a day, right? They found that the best way to learn is through distributed learning, periods of study that were a little bit smaller in scope and repeated more often. So if you want to, what's the best way to study for a test? If you only have 2 hours to study for that test, we'll say 3 hours. You have 3 hours to study for a test. It's a week before the test. What's a better option if you could choose? Cramming for 3 hours the night before the test, or studying, say, the 3 days before the test for 1 hour each. And it looks like, I learned about that it's actually a little bit more complex because cramming actually is pretty good strategy for retaining information long enough to pass the test. But it turns out that information is just dumped, like it is not retained. So if you test people, you can test people two ways. Information, long-term retention of information, and then how well they do on the test. And so if you just look at how well they do on the test, those two groups might be a little bit closer together in terms of performance. But if you look at long-term retention, you'll see that the person that distributed that study over 3 days with periods of rest in between will have much better retention on the material. DCI Banks, what is my current occupation? I'm a professional I'm a professional streamer. I'm a professional juggler, freestyle rapper, and streamer right now. I used to be a graphic designer. I still do a little bit of contract work. But now I'm basically a full-time philosopher and a professional warrior and problem solver for the world. I'm here to help make sense of a fundamentally confusing world that we're entering into. And I'm just here trying to get people to have conversations about what we're all going to do about it. So yeah, I'm basically retired from real occupations because all the work that's being done out there, other people can do it just fine. And I think that we need more like actual thinkers that are just trying to connect and figure out how can we raise the consciousness and how can we push culture forward. And like we have to figure out a space, a new kind of social network that we can all get together and just have like a serious talk about how we build and how we create. What do we create when the old foundations start to crumble and fall? And yeah, we have some kind of crazy shift, seismic shift, some black swan economic event, another war, currency collapse, right? There's just so many different, the meta crisis is looming. And to me, with that, the scale of the changes and the speed of which they are happening, it doesn't make sense to go out and just try to get a job and just, you know, save for retirement and do all this stuff, day-to-day things. I'm kind of like in survival mode. I'm just like, well, someone's got to just at least start talking about this stuff. And if even if, you know, it's only one or two people out there that just have an idea or that start thinking slightly differently, I think that's more important than going and trying to do anything out there right now. And just because I'm like, kind of like, I like thinking about a lot of different things. And so I think that it's important. And I have enough savings to get me through another 10 years. So I figure, what the hell? You only live once, right? Am I meant to do something big? Am I meant to be inspiring? Or am I meant to go and work at a bar? Nothing against bartenders at all. And maybe that's probably where I'll end up, right? Because eventually I'll be like, man, this whole Twitch thing and this dream that I had of like trying to change people's minds just because I got an undergraduate degree in cognitive science, do I really think that I can change people's minds? Do I think that I can teach them anything that they couldn't learn in school that would be better taught by a professor? I sat myself down, I looked in the mirror, and I said, yes, I think you have something different, new, interesting to offer people. And then I launched a YouTube channel, and it basically just kind of fell flat on its face. Partially my fault, partially because, you know, not a lot of people like talking about crazy things. You're not working because of disability, Amber said. So DCI Banks, appreciate that. Gave me a little chance to rant. Um, you know, I was watching this video about like our sense of identity. What is our sense of identity? How do we think about ourselves? What's our primary identity? And here, at least in the US, I think that we have different levels of identity, right? Different groups of people that we kind of identify with. But the core, the central part of our identity, I think, is our occupation, right? What we actually do. That's kind of what we, at least in my experience, that's what people lead with when you go to like cocktail parties or meet and greets and stuff. It's common, right? It's like, what do you do? Like, who are you? Like, that's the most, I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean that it's the most central aspect, but it does, to me, indicate that we do focus, we find that that is an important aspect of our identity. How is that different than in the past? Because, you know, I mean, they had naming schemes like the Smiths and shoemakers, and where at least their family name was linked to their sort of function within society. But I wonder if our sense of self based on occupation is maybe a natural way or a natural evolution of our culture, you know, that helped us kind of ground ourselves in the norms of that culture. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? Balthier, once the US debt hits about 80, 90 T, I think you would convert cash to gold or Bitcoin. I do have gold. I don't have any Bitcoin. So Coursera, it's a good resolution. Is anyone going to look up courses on Coursera? All right, what else do I have to say about habits? DCI banks? Nope. All right. Let's see what else I had to say all those years ago.
Out there, some other type of incentive that we could leverage to kind of lift us out of bed. How did I eventually get to the gym? If I'm being honest, I don't think it had anything to do with my own willpower. I think it had everything to do with the fact that I had a friend at work who also wanted to go to the gym. We would see each other every day after work and we'd kind of, like psych each other up. You're going to be at the gym tomorrow? You bet your sweet buttery bun cakes I'll be at the gym tomorrow. We're going to do it together. We're going to pump some iron and we're going to feel great. And the next morning when the alarm clock goes off, I'm thinking about if I don't get up, I'm going to have to make up some excuse to tell my friend. And I'm going to look foolish. And so to avoid that shame, I get up and I go to the gym. Have you ever had that experience? So I think these social incentives can provide the necessary leverage to really get us over that initial hump. Okay, let me give you a metaphor. What if we think about the relationship between environment, incentives, and habits? Like Pac-Man. So the game board represents the environment, and there are physical barriers that channel you along these different paths. And built into that are also all of these incentives, these little white dots that give you points along the way. And what if we think about a habit as this situation? The incentives never go away. We are really smart and we traverse our local environments until we find sort of the path of least resistance, right? The very best option for us. And then we do that over and over again and it becomes a habit. It becomes muscle memory. It's hard to break that habit. That's why we need the ghosts. We need to befriend one of those ghosts, call them up, and tell them, hey, can you get over here? I'm stuck in a loop. Obviously, that's super simplistic, but maybe it gives us an interesting way to think about this. Okay, can we just pause and do a quick recap? I'm starting to get confused. I'm losing the chain of reasoning here. We said excellence is what we all strive for, and excellence is a habit. And to build good habits, we need to get ourselves into good environments. Getting to those environments is a big obstacle itself because we have to unlearn old habits to make room for the new ones. And maybe willpower is not helping us as much as we think, and neither is that distant goal. And so we need some other incentive. And maybe it's people, right? Isn't the problem and the solution always people? What do you think about that? Does that make any sense to you? Okay, so let's go back to New Year's Eve now. I'm thinking.
All right, so now that I'm watching this, this kind of makes a lot of sense in our, I mean, not in just habits about like things that are obviously good for us, like going to the gym. Like we all know that doing that is good for us. But the way that we built habits for sort of what we consider a good goal, right? Where do our goals come from? And it's a product probably of our environments and the incentive structure within those environments, right? So all of us, I think in a very real way, are programmed culturally to have the goals that we do, right? And it was our environment that kind of, through a combination of incentive structures, kind of channeled us along those sort of paths. But here's the scary part. What if that environment that was channeling us, what if it was also driving us to, down the wrong path? When would we know? And how would we get out? How would we break all that programming and kind of realize that it wasn't in our best interest, right? And how could we sort of broadcast that sort of universal understanding to people? that holy shit, we're kind of like stuck in this Nash equilibrium where none of us are incentivized to ultimately change the foundations of our goals, our beliefs about ourselves, our identities. How could we tear down all those walls and start fresh? Right? It's almost like tackling the problem of addiction and trying to get an old person, right? Now, old people are stuck in their ways. We all know this sort of stereotype. Can't get old people to change. And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But if you consider this kind of concerning fact that basically we all stop a period of rapid learning at the mid-20s, right? And so really after that, most of us are not incentivized to really go out and learn different things. If most of society is made up of people that are 25 and older right now, and our collective patterns of society are pushing us in the wrong direction, and all of those people, the majority of those people, it's hard for them to change habits and behaviors. Are we in some kind of trouble? Do we need some kind of technological device to help with neuroplasticity such that we can actually like jumpstart evolution, like cognitive evolution or some kind of cognitive revolution? Do we need some sort of technology? All right, well, I guess I lost everybody. So we'll just go back to watch myself.
About all these things, and I get a text from my sister, and it says, Happy New Year. What's the first thing I felt? Well, I felt guilt. And that's because a month earlier, my sister had called me up and said, Hey, we're both starting businesses. Do you want to be my accountability partner? And I had never heard that term before, but I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I said, yes, that's a great idea. You tell me your goals, I'll tell you mine. And because this is now public knowledge, wanting to avoid the shame of admitting that we didn't keep our promises to ourselves is an extra little bit of a push in the right direction. Fantastic idea, but it didn't work because we didn't build a habit. And so I texted back without thinking, Happy New Year, sister. I resolved to be a better accountability partner to you. And I kind of chuckled because it seemed kind of trivial for a second. But then I felt a light bulb go off. Maybe that is a better, more reasonable, more manageable, more tangible goal to use that extra boost that I've gotten from this time of year effectively. And by focusing on motivating somebody else, right? First of all, it's much easier to criticize somebody else than yourself, and it's more fun when they fail. By applying that social pressure via reciprocation, she's going to feel guilty if she doesn't return the favor. What happens if we all implement a mandatory society-wide buddy system for life goals? Okay, one more metaphor. I promise. Maybe one solution to this whole New Year's Eve well that we're stuck down is, well, we find a partner and we get back to back and we put our feet up on opposite sides of the wall and we slowly walk up towards the light together. So that's all I've got for you tonight, partner. But as always, I've really enjoyed every moment just sitting here getting lost in thought with you. And, well, Happy New Year. I'm sure it'll be a good one. Come back and see me sometime soon.
So accountability partners, that was kind of the aha moment, is that we actually require other people to break us out. to use social norms as a lever to help us out of those loops that we get stuck in, right? So all of our thoughts, all of our behavioral patterns, right? It's all sort of been internalized. It's all become muscle memory. It's just a path of least resistance. It's energy flowing through this electrochemical circuits in your brain. And the more that those patterns of thought are reinforced, the harder they become to break. And so that's why you'll find yourself having trouble doing anything new, learning anything new, changing your views on anything, unless you radically change environments, right? So when you go travel the world, you change your environment. There aren't any of these environmental cues that lock you into place, that remind you of what you're supposed to do at every moment. So everything's up in the air, and you start paying attention more to your environment. And your mind naturally is forced to grapple with different kinds of sensory data, and it makes you a little bit more open-minded, right? Changes the configuration of the system such that it enables new possibilities of thought to happen. So that's why traveling is such a good way to learn, right? Is because it puts you in environments that force your brain into a more plastic state. So we should all travel more. We should all resolve to take more trips into different environments. And so, but what happens if you can't, go out every week and go to a new place, right? And you're stuck, like I am, in the same place day in and day out. Your environment doesn't radically shift. Well, another powerful, lever that we can pull on or press is like other people. So we can make our intentions known to other people. So you make your intention known to someone else, and then you don't want to embarrass yourself or act foolish. You don't want to claim to have certain goals and say you're going to do stuff, and then have your friends see you as, breaking your promise. So that little extra bit of social pressure that they apply to you helps you to kind of get out of sort of the path of least resistance. So I think that we have to build a network of sort of social support for how to help each other break old habits and old patterns of beliefs that are not in our best interests. And a lot of them are patterns that we don't even consider right now to be that bad. Or you just have to realize that there are some there. Just because, we've all had different experiences, we all kind of have our biases, we all have our blind spots. We all are ignorant about some aspects of the world. We can't know everything. So there are certain companies that we support, brands of clothing we buy, certain activities that require certain, toxic production processes that we don't think about just out of sheer ignorance, right? We're unaware of. So I think that's why a free press is so important in most societies, is that you need independent journalists going around and making us aware of the ways in which we are actually hurting ourselves without knowing it. So I think that's why, free press is great, and, getting people on podcasts and sharing ideas. Is anyone still out there? I lost all of you. I'm just waiting for something to bite on here. So accountability partners. What if we had a network of accountability partners? I mean, we already have social networks of accountability partners, right? People that keep us honest. But what if we had a larger, like, social media? I'm listening but doing something. Sorry, DCI Banks. No problem. I'm just making sure. You know, I don't want to talk about stuff that's boring to you guys, or if you don't have any really thoughts about it. We can talk about something totally different, like what you had for lunch today, or future stuff. I'm thinking about future stuff. Like, what's 2026 going to be like? At the rate things are moving, it feels like whatever it's going to be hard to predict. But I do feel like society is being stretched in directions, like stretched apart. And I feel like there's going to be some kind of, like a rubber band, some kind of reaction. Does anyone get the feeling that 2026, there's going to be something big that happens? Or is that just me? Oh, you're making Sora pictures? You're making AI generated pictures? But Balthier said that if you just spend 18 minutes a day drawing, you could make your own pictures. And maybe that would be better for your brain too. I'm just kidding. I use Sora too, but um, yeah, AI is. I don't know. I'm getting kind of creeped out by the whole AI thing. You know, the Grim Reaper will be stealing James Bond's 235 soul this year. I have no idea what that refers to. You'll have to fill me in. Um, so yeah, I was, it was interesting when I started making these videos way back then. I had this goal, right, where I was going to be a big YouTuber. Your friend is James Bond 235, and the Grim Reaper is going to steal his soul, like in virtual space. Like you have a Grim Reaper avatar, and you have some kind of item called the soul, and you're going to have your Grim Reaper avatar steal it from him and sell it for some sort of, I don't know, trinkets or fake currency. I was all about when I made that video 4 years ago. So I'm kind of trying to do a past and present comparison right now. Um, you don't believe it, but it's true. How do you know unless you're the Grim Reaper, death, him or herself? Hmm? I hope you're not confessing to a premeditated crime live on stream because I'm pretty sure that's terms of service. All right, so I guess maybe one of the like psychological effects of New Year's is that it causes us to reflect, right? It's like it feels significant. And even if we just believe that it's significant, it could be like a placebo where it's a ritual that we engage in. Maybe some of us more formally than others, maybe all of us kind of informally, just because it's part of the culture, right? And it is kind of some annual sort of routine that we causes us to reflect and like look back and see how we've changed. And maybe that reflection is important in some ways. I kind of tend to do this a lot. I don't know if this is just me, but I'm like constantly looking back. Okay, how far? I think it's just for me because it's like I want to make sure that I'm still making progress. You know, because right now, without a structured sort of 9 to 5 job, it's like I don't have daily tasks that I have to accomplish. So there's not there's not like this sense of movement. So I'm like forced to think about these sort of abstract parts in my past and like think about, okay, so I'm moving along this trajectory, but now I'm just I have to look back at my old self to realize that I've gone anywhere. I don't know. Maybe that's just nuts. Um, but back then, I wanted to do these videos because I had the goal of being like this big YouTube person. Why did I have that goal? Attention, success, or did I really believe that I was helping people? You know, it's like sometimes I wonder because I said that I did it because I wanted to help people. But then if that were the truth, that was the only reason, why would it feel so bad when it didn't make me sort of famous, right? So it seems to me like I must have had um, at least these other goals that were sort of like egocentric, that were focused on self achievement, and how I could tell a story about myself, a story of success, right? And maybe convince other people of that success. So now I've changed a little bit because I realize that part of me probably did not have perfectly pure intentions when I set out to be a YouTube creator. So I'm still not sure about this, by the way. I'm always constantly wondering about, the motivations that I have. But now I don't feel so bad about actually not being successful in that way. Like I'm totally kind of over that now. And I still do it, which makes me think that, actually something good will come out of this whole process. So maybe I have come somewhere. Still not sure where I'm going, but at least there's some kind of, and I think that's a pretty large change, right? Like realizing that maybe you were doing things for the wrong reasons, even if the like outcome might have been ultimately net positive, right? It's like if you're doing things for the wrong reasons, then is that helping yourself out? Are you helping other people out if you're not even honest with your own motivations for doing things? Nitro Gold says you had that goal because you offer something that YouTubers do not. Every millennial and Gen Z wanted to be a famous YouTuber when they were younger. I know. My friend, it's funny because people my age, right? They have kids, and they tell me that that's what that their kids want to do, and they're like, that scares me. That scares me. And I was like, I'm not so scared about that because pretty that sounds pretty legit actually. Like good for them. They should want to just because I was trying to be a YouTuber. Um, Ikigai for YouTubers. I'm not sure what Ikigai is. So yeah, New Year's resolution. So I was very goal oriented when I started making these videos. That's another change. I was very, very goal oriented, right? I had a production schedule. I had topics. I tried to find the most important topics. Um, Now my goals have become a little bit kind of like loose. Now my only goal is really to take it day by day and try to learn something new, right? Just something. Like and it doesn't have to be academic necessarily, right? I'm just out just kind of looking for different clues now. I'm like a detective I walk around with a magnifying glass and a funny hat and one of those nice pipes. Je ne sais pas une pipe. What is it? N'est pas une pipe. N'est pas une pipe. Yeah, I just kind of, my goals are much more open. And if you're trying to accomplish something specific, that's a terrible strategy. But I actually think that's the best way to maximize creativity, is to not have definite goals, have definite sort of ideals and beliefs that you stand for, and push forward in a more exploratory fashion. I realize that this is a very, I am blessed to be able to do this. Not many people actually have the luxury to do this, which is kind of why I almost feel like I'm obligated to, because I have the option, and so I ought to really try to be a creative voice in the world and just share what I discover about things. And but that could also be just self-justification for where I've ended up. I don't know. This is the problem. See, folks, don't ever study cognitive science because you're always self-guessing yourself. Ikigai is a Japanese philosophy. Right on. Is it good? Should I check them out? So I have fewer goals. I know what I don't want to do. Most of the time, I've kind of instead of trying to set my sights on something that I have to become, or some strict goal for me 5 years or 10 years from now, I've kind of just thrown that aside. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm saying that's just where I am. And if you think about any point in time in your past, any time, doesn't matter, and then you think about where you ended up just a year later, 5 years later, right? What you thought, your prediction for who you would become and where you would end up, was always wrong. Just always was. Right? The life is just too chaotic. There's too many factors for you to control your path into the future. And a lot of the times, if you have this really desperate need to achieve some specific goal by a specific time, you're going to be fighting forces, right? The winds are not going to be with you. They're going to be blowing you off course. And instead of pivoting, right, when sort of life throws you a curveball, and you desperately cling to that one dream that you have, that can cause you a lot of probably suffering. So I try to be a little bit less long-term goal oriented, just because it feels like life is accelerating, all the pace of it. Does anyone else feel this way, or am I just crazy? What is the way that you have discovered your Tao? Yeah, the golden path. Peace, love, and rock and roll, man. Basically a hippie philosophy. No, it's basically the only thing that I could add to all of the knowledge out there right now. Honestly, I'm really not adding much to all of the knowledge that exists today. What I'm doing is I'm really trying to synthesize it into a way and just share my thoughts on it. What do I add to all of the centuries of great philosophers and all these traditional schools of thought? Probably not much. I think it is basically coming to the conclusion and kind of synthesizing them all and saying, okay, well, what do we know about, what do we think we know about human happiness, right? What brings us happiness? What are the most important things? Um, Human connections, right? Family. It doesn't matter if you paint the most majestic picture in the world if you do it on a desert island where no one's around to see it. So anything that you create in the world, the only reason that you would do it is if you were part of some sort of social community of people that agreed that that was something worth doing and helped them survive in some way or brought joy to them. So like the foundation of what it means to be happy is baked into our social nature. And yet we seem to be constructing environments where that gets kind of pushed to the side and replaced, right? By more trivial reward systems. Dan says, so what is the way that I've discovered? I think that it's really realizing that we have much more potential than we give ourselves credit for, and to never be satisfied with the ability to improve oneself and those around us, and not giving up on others around us, right? Because there's nothing in the scientific philosophical literature that says that we can't help other people change that don't seem to be amenable to change, and also at first sight look like they're not worth investing in time and energy. So it's really kind of challenging our snap judgments that we make about other people, and realizing, right, that we have these biases, that we do these things called stereotyping, right, where we think we're really good at calculating some, it feels like we're doing some important calculation in our head that allows us to decide who to engage with, right? Who's worth our time and energy. And we just come up with this clear feeling of that person, no way. That person's not worth my time and energy. They're racist, they're whatever, they're lazy, they're greedy, right? Narcissistic, whatever label you want to put on that person. We come up with these intuitive judgments about other people really fast. And right, this is just because of the way that our brains evolved within social species. We're very tribal, right? We came from chimps and different groups of monkeys. Some of them are more tribal than others, but we did go through a period of history where you could only trust your immediate tribe. And it was probably in our best interests to make snap judgments about another person's ability to cooperate with us or likelihood to like fight us by very superficial means and features. I don't know, face paint, whatever, color of skin, right? Most of the time the people that were in your social group look just like you. So we've inherited this kind of neural framework that was very adaptive in our early days, but now leads to things like racism, sexism, any ism that you put out there, right? All the judgments that people make about other groups of people. It's all because it's more efficient. And back then it made sense. But now all the superficial marks that you look at someone or their sounds, the way they sound, the way they talk, their accents, right? The color of their skin, the way they dress, the types of shoes that they wear, all of those superficial markings are actually not a good indication of whether or not someone is part of your tribe, willing to cooperate, right? Is likely to harm you or steal you or be distrustful of. So we just have to come to terms with this fact that our individual human brains are so riddled with these biases that at the time were features of the human brain, but now they're bugs because the level of complexity has grown and we're in a total different environment. And now we've got all these sort of warning signals that we think that we see that don't mean anything, but it feels like, oh my God, this person is, must be the devil because they're wearing a Slayer shirt, or because they've got an Antichrist tattoo or anarchy tattoo or something, right? It's like we think we're so good at parsing the world into accurate chunks of information. We're just not. And all of us have that problem. And all of us think that we're right most of the time, right? We always think that we're justified. So if all of us think that we're right all of the time, then all of us must be wrong. At least some of the time. Some of us are right more often than others, or more often of the time than others. I'm not saying there's no difference, but I'm saying that all of us have blind spots. And so the only logical thing to do with this information is to really question yourself, especially when you get feedback to the contrary from other people that are like, listen, dude, you shouldn't be doing this. It's not good for you, and you're actually hurting other people. If we get negative feedback like that, what we do is we basically get defensive and we just deny it. We just like, nope, that's not me. I ain't gonna do that. Like, no, that's totally wrong. And instead, we should take that critique and actually think about it and say, what is there? Can I explain this person's critique as their own kind of bias, right? Is it possible for me to explain that critique fully by putting it on them? Or is there some kind of truth in there, or is it at least partially true? And when you do that, you engage in a form of OS debugging. So, we're all full of biases, and we have words for this. I mean, they're demons, right? What's a demon? Everyone knows what a demon is. We say, oh yeah, we've all got our own demons. We say that casually all the time. What are demons? They're places of ignorance that cause us to behave in ways that actually ultimately harm ourselves. Those are demons. And usually those demons, it's like we harm someone else first, but even if we don't know that we've harmed that other person, right, that comes back around in some way, shape, or form. Because if it's a pattern, if it's a systematic bias that we have, in a way that we're mistreating other people systematically, it's going to come back around. Like, that's karma, right? It's not spooky karma. It's just, you do something enough times and it has enough negative effects, eventually they come back and you start to feel them. What's up, man? All right, so me 24x kind of summarizing. I know Freud and Nietzsche would have had a field day if they were alive to witness the internet, brain rot, and social media. Yeah. Is happiness something you should attain or something that you choose to be? Is happiness something you should attain? Yeah, Nitro Gold, great question. Happiness is not an object, and it's not a place. You can't get to the land of happiness and stay there. and it's not an object that you could possess. So I guess both of these are kind of variations on a metaphor of attaining, right? In one, you're sort of in the inside of the object. The other, you're bringing the object with you. So it's a form of possession. And yeah, the in the Buddha talk about how um, most of suffering is just caused by when we become attached to something that is fundamentally temporal, right? It's like you get attached to this thing or this pattern, but that pattern is going to shift. It's going to go away. It's going to change. And so happiness is kind of a fiction in terms of, I think, in the way that we think about happiness most often as a place that we can get, as a state that we can attain. Like that version of happiness is a fiction. But I don't know. I think that overall I've become a happier person. I think I've learned to be able to appreciate most situations and find something interesting about most situations now. I'm very infrequently unhappy. Sometimes I get depressed, especially when I think about, world events and stuff. That's why I turn out I don't know if this is bad, but I decided to shut out the news. Like I can't listen or watch the news anymore. Like it's too crazy and I don't want to believe it. I know maybe this is just escapism, but I feel like if it's out there being publicly broadcasted, if it's loud, it's someone's putting it out there because they want me to believe in something. They want to affect my behavior in some way. They're running some kind of narrative. They're trying to get me to buy something, right? Buy into an ideology or belief or whatever, right? If it's out there and someone is making money or someone is making likely to make a profit, it's like I don't even want that in my brain because I feel like it's more misleading than it is informing. Because any small event or crisis, I mean, all of these news stories are about I mean, they're important. It's not like they don't affect people. I'm not saying they don't affect people, but is it distracting in a way from maybe larger patterns, right? Is it more noise in the system if your goal is to actually figure out what is possible and what world you want to live in and what sort of traps to be on the lookout for? Like I'm trying to put together the whole I'm just trying to put it all together and figure out what I need to do because it's clear that all of us need to adapt in some way, but it's still not clear exactly how it's going to happen. But I'm trying to work it out. And I think that there's hope on the horizon because there's lots of good signs that, or at least there's some indication that people are like, yeah, we've kind of gone astray from our core, what it means to be human and our core beliefs. And we've kind of let technology get away from us. And it's kind of technology itself is kind of um, we're like in an arms race with technology itself. It seems like because it's gotten in it started restructuring the way that we think and our attention spans, and it's turned us all into narcissists online. And so it's like we're leveraging technology against ourselves. And I think we'll figure that out eventually as a sort of collective species and take steps to remedy that situation. So one of the steps would be creating a publicly owned sort of social media system network that is publicly supported, that is publicly funded. We have to get money advertisements out of our social brain, right? That's the big thing that I think is going to happen in the next few years. I don't know. I hope it's just a few years. Maybe it'll be this year. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 2026 when the inception of the metacortex finally starts to take root and, right, start to train itself. So Dan says that happiness is more often than not a state of being, by definition is transitory. Yeah, I would agree with that. When you are happy for a long period of time, it gets boring and feels hollow. Remember the saying, pursuit of happiness, you must feed this state or fall out of it. Contentment and happiness almost always are the results of years of introspection and revelations. You don't marry those two states naturally. Spellcross, happiness is subjective and situational. You don't choose to be, just be. Funny, the news aren't crazy enough and mostly propaganda. Truth is often stranger and worse than fiction. The news aren't crazy enough, Dance says. There are things that are being kept out of the news that are even crazier. Yeah, and if that's true, I mean, right, like that's also, that's like misdirection. It's like a magician using misdirection to beguile us when there's something else happening behind the scenes. Check my Discord. Oh, Amber wants to chat. Amber, let me take a quick. I'm going to take a quick bio break, then I'll jump in the Discord channel with you. All right. I'm going to use the bathroom, so I'll be right back. Spellcross, how you doing, man? Happy New Year's to you. What are you up to? Nitro, what are you doing, man? How's your New Year's? What goals? We talked about goals, and I talked about how 4 years ago I was pretty goal oriented. Now I kind of loosen my goals just because I can't see far enough into the future to know whether or not those will be the right goals in that future state. So I've kind of thrown up in the air, and I'm just kind of open to opportunities. So let me know if you want to talk about that, or if you want to talk about something else, New Year's resolutions, if you want to talk about building habits, if you want to talk about programming and neuroplasticity and that kind of thing, let me know. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back early. All right, let me jump into Discord. All right, are you there? Hello, hello. You're live on the Joy of Thinking, broadcasting to millions of anxious Twitch viewers to hear your views on important news of the day and other things, trivial and otherwise.
Oh, how are you, dear? I haven't talked to you in a long, long time.
Oh, I've been fabulous, darling. How are you? Are you drinking tea?
I am, in fact. I'm drinking green tea. What about you?
Oh, I don't know. I had some imported exotic Turkish tea and it's all turmeric based and I don't know if I like it yet, but I'm getting used to it, so it's good.
Oh, well, that's good. It sounds very interesting.
Yeah, oh, it's very interesting, and that's the most important, dear, don't you think? If it's interesting, it's something new that you attend to, and that changes
Well,
the weights in your synapses or something. Isn't that important?
what's really interesting is I heard earlier that you were saying that you don't watch the news,
Yeah,
and it got me thinking about a song from Paramore, I believe. My grandchildren listen to that.
yeah, that's one of
And
those newfangled rock and roll bands, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
But I was listening to them a little bit. It's horrible music, but at the end of the day, they like it, so I guess it's okay. And
Judge
they
not.
haven't
Those who live in glass houses ought not cast stones. You know what they say. But go on.
they have a
Sorry to interrupt.
song that
Yeah.
they they have a song that's literally called "Turn Off the News," I think, and so it reminded me of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Turn off the news. So my dad and I got into this big argument. I'm gonna go off character now. I hope you don't mind, just because that voice is exhausting. Oh my God, I don't know how you maintain it, but good on you. That was a talent, clearly a skill worth exploiting, and hopefully profiting off of. My
Well,
dad and
lucky
I.
for you, I'll be keeping it up the whole time.
So there's a big generational difference between my dad and I because he would just he retired and he basically didn't have a lot of other activities. He was so used to going to work 9 to 5 every day. It kind of kept him honest, but then he retired and he just didn't have any more goals, didn't know how to pivot, didn't know how to adapt to that new environment. He just kind of sat around and watched the news all day long. And he just became an angry person. I was like, Dad, you're just an angry person. Stop watching the news. He was like, No, you got to be informed. You got to figure out, what's going on so that you can, contribute to society. And I was like, Dad, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna go out and protest something? Do you have some cause? Like, what are you actually? How is that news and information meaningfully changing your behavior so that you can make the world a better place? Like, it's not. You're not changing. Like, you're not doing anything to solve any of those problems, right? You're sitting there, you're absorbing it, and it's making you angry and bitter, and you're more likely to get politically radicalized and give money to an organization that's going to probably make things worse in the end. I was like, just turn it off, just go outside
Oh,
and
yeah, I
garden.
completely understand that. There's been plenty of times where I've seen people get equally as frustratable just like that. I used to tell my mother that all the time. Turn off the news. You're getting mad over nothing.
I mean, I don't want to say it's not important, I don't want to say it's nothing, it's just how is it affecting you, and is that effect producing positive results that is good for anybody, right? Because if you're just sitting there internalizing all of it and being this miserable person that's then taking that miserable state, and when you're around other people, you're projecting that misery onto them, then that's actually making the world a worse place, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that events and things out in the world don't matter. It's just how is it affecting you, and is it making you a better person that's helping the world in the right ways, or is it just making you miserable? And if it's just making you miserable, then there's no point, right? That's how I feel, anyways. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that about a lot of things too. I personally don't really like to engage with reality TV because it's all just a bunch of people that are celebrities most of the time and they're not really doing much. But at the end of the day, you know, it makes you a little bit uncomfortable because of some of the things you hear them say or do or whatever. But then when you start to notice the way that the news is today, it's like they're taking that same template, I think that's what they call it. But they take the template of all of this and they try and make it interesting. So they sell it to the young ones of today's date in this way. But it does is causes divide lines in the invisible sand that we're all dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're saying that, so this template that you're talking about, is this, I mean, I did a video about this thing called the negativity bias and the part of the brain called the amygdala, which seems to process sort of signals that involve fear. They found this out accidentally when someone had a tumor in the right spot of their brain when they had to remove both of the amygdala, and that person no longer experienced fear in a meaningful way that motivated them to get out of danger or harm. Um, and so they linked that to, okay, well, there's some neural correlate here where this fear is localized in the amygdala. So, anyways, I did a video about this, and I was talking about how we pay attention more to like sensational news stories that contain death, violence, bombings, social atrocities, like stuff like that. And there's this saying in the news, right? If it bleeds, it leads. And so most of the headlines, like 80% of them, are usually things that are bad, right? And, it's kind of
Yeah, that is true. There's a lot of bad things in the news. I hardly ever hear about the good stuff, and they keep it so short.
right. So it's like this, the media has, and it's partially our faults, right? Because that's what we pay attention to. And if they're trying to sell ads, then it makes sense that they get the most viewers by sort of leveraging that aspect. So it's like they've reverse engineered the human psyche. And they don't probably not even conscious most of the time that they're doing it. They just think this is what, this is what the people want. This is big news. It's important for everyone to think about this kind of stuff, but it has the effect of like concentrating and distilling all of the entire human experience in all its rich varieties and forms, things both magical and tragic, into kind of the worst aspects, right? Just the bottom of the barrel, the stuff that's like, mass shootings in schools and, tsunamis that, devastate coastal populations and all of this stuff. So it kind of, in a way, by focusing on all the worst aspects of society, it feels like becoming we're becoming less informed about the totality of the world, right? And
Oh yeah, for sure.
it just feels like that kind of
That
pessimist.
that's shifting the blame over to somebody other than yourself. You're not informed. That's more on you, not society in general. Though, when you say if you allow them to train you and where you get your information, like you're allowing them to manipulate you. So if you're not informed, that's really on you and not them. You know
So
what I
you're
mean? Sorry, Roy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. No, I think that's an important point, right? Like all of us should we should want to be informed, and I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think most people even think about the idea of like a balance. What would a balanced news broadcast look like, right? What would a newscast that was most reflective of like the real distribution of negative versus positive events and people's real beliefs about certain things? What would that look like? And how would that
Well,
differ?
this is where you have to differentiate between local and national news.
Yeah, that's
Most
true.
news nowadays is focused on the national, so you really can't get anything that actually is universally positive because what one group thinks is positive, another group thinks is negative, right? So, in order to get those kind of feel good stories, that you have to really look at local news, I think, in order to get that type of feeling that you're talking about that sense of, oh wow, that's actually happening in my neck of the woods. Wow, that actually feels really good. But
Yeah.
on the national end, when you start talking about, oh, we should, um, you get the feel good stories that you think should be feel good, but then you always have somebody who, no matter what it is, helping the homeless. Oh, but they're just a waste on resources. Why are we helping? There's always that type. But whenever it's locally based, it's, you know, these people and you know that they're not just using resources, right? So you tend to have a different point of view when it's local versus national, right? So it comes down to where you're getting your news, and what is important. You know, if it's a national thing, it's always, there's always going to be somebody who fights against it. Locally, most people can come together and come to some sort of agreement. It's when it's a small group. So it, you should really be looking at local sources for news if you're looking for the positive things, uh, that are affecting, the world around you, versus national, because national, it's over dramatized. It's used to really separate, the different groups, and because there is no real camps that the news really plays for. It just tries to throw crap out there and hope it sticks with one side or the other. You know what I mean?
Their strategy is kind of like buckshot. And
Yeah, hope for the best.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Local news, and that's more relevant. Like, I definitely, if you have a good source of local news that doesn't suffer from the features that I'm talking about, then and local news would be where it's at, right? That's where you would get, yeah, the heartwarming stories of firemen saving kittens in, abandoned warehouses or something.
I'll give you an example. Like, last year, the biggest news stories that were nationally were abortions. That was all over the place. Every news center was talking about it. Where I live, we have 8 a year. 8. That's in our whole state. So for us, it's not even a big deal. Nobody even thinks about it. Nobody even cares. But the rest of the nation's like, we got to destroy this. And my state's like, but we only get 8. Why should we even care? you know? Um, but then you have other places like California that has a massive amount, and New York, and yeah, those are centralized and important discussions. But there's a vast left and right there in those two states, right? Versus where I'm at, and for somebody like me who says I really don't care about the topic, I'm evil all of a sudden because I don't care because it doesn't happen around here. It's not something anybody in my neck of the woods has to worry about, right? So that doesn't make really headlines when you look at local news here. But if you look at the national news, you'd think every state, every person cares about it. And the thing is most people don't care about this stuff. Um, and that's what it comes down to. And you have a small group that they are the loudest, so they get the news they want covered. That's what it comes down to. That's why you need to look locally because that's the news that's really speaking for you, not national news.
Yeah, yeah,
I
no.
would agree with that. The national news is most of the time just a bunch of irritation, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's good to watch a little bit of local things, because otherwise you're just getting a bunch of fake news sometimes. You know what I mean?
Eh, somewhat. Kind of what I just said. So kind of sums it up.
Um, all right, let's see. What else were we talking about? So, goals. Did you set any goals? Do you have any goals? Amber, do you have any goals for 2026? Clowns, do you have any goals?
Uh,
I know not getting
Heal.
hit by a car is one of your goals.
Oh yeah, man. For those who don't know, I got hit by another car a few days ago, and it
oh
broke
my
my rib.
God. Are you all right?
No, I have not been all right. I am terrified of cars. It's the fifth time I've been hit. I'm so sick and tired of. Uh, Dude, every single car that's hit me this year, except for one, has been a female driver. I see a female driver, I freak the fuck out now. I'm just like, is she gonna hit me? Is she paying attention? Oh, I'm gonna fucking die. That's literally all I'm thinking.
Are you in the hospital right now, or are you like
No,
just
I just broke my
recovering?
wrist. I broke my wrist.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I'm just so over all this crap. Well, I didn't. Well, I also fell on ice too, and that's where I actually broke my wrist. The car accident just it banged my knee up and hurt my back, and then a day later I fell on some ice because I wasn't walking properly, and it's. I'm just so over all this stuff. This year has been horrible. I don't want to get hurt anymore. I'm tired of being in pain.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's just oh my god, it's just been horrible. Hey Roy,
Well,
I sent you something, and I didn't know if you read it or not, but it was based on the conversation we had, and I hope that made you feel better.
Yeah, I think it was a song, right?
Yes.
I saw it right before I started streaming, but I haven't had I'm gonna have to read it again. But I liked it. I liked the idea and the concept behind it. So I'll take another
I was
look.
gonna
See if we
I
can
was gonna
make it into a
record it,
song.
I, but I can't play right now, dude. I have so much music in my freaking head, I can't play any of it right now. It sucks.
Dan says, in the name of greed and capitalism, I propose the homeless compete in a Hunger Games style competition for 10 millions after taxes.
10 millions.
Could be the biggest thing since Super Bowl. Super Bowl or Super Bowl? Is that the lottery? Super Bowl? Lottery?
The Mega Ball power. What it was, a Mega Ball, Mega Millions, Mega something. I don't know. I see it every time I go into the gas station.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I have literally not left my place except for once since the years began, and I didn't want to do that, but I needed food.
wait a minute. How does that line up if you said you've been hit by a car multiple times this year? I'm
Since the new year
confused.
started, it's been 3 days, 2 days.
Oh my God. So just like within the past couple, like week or so, you've had several car hits.
No, 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 no. I haven't left since the new year started. That's what I said.
Oh,
Um,
oh, oh, I'm
I got
confused. Okay.
last year. Last year, I got hit 5 times.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a minute. How does that make any sense?
No, no, no. Last year, the new year just started, by the way, and I'm afraid to leave my place at this point because I'm just freaking over it.
Well, you know what you should do the next time that you go out on purpose, and this is probably actually a good idea now that I think about it. What do you have? Not that this would help totally, but do you have like a jacket or something that is specifically designed to be like reflective? Because a lot of times people
I
can't
don't
see
think that
shit.
would help at this point. I think the universe is trying to kill me.
Like,
Or maybe
like strap a freaking neon sign to yourself that says, "Don't run me over."
Yeah, I told him to get reflective, like construction worker vest that he could
I'm
wear
gonna
around,
do it.
and
I'm gonna do it too.
also maybe a bell collar with a bell on it,
What's funny
and
is
and also
when I
a
got hit
plastic bubble, giant plastic
Right,
bubble.
right.
check this out. When I got hit the other day, this is what it's been what 4 days, 5 days. Um, I came to the cross where the traffic is. I sat there waiting for the cars to go, and even this lady just sat there. And I'm just sitting there waving her because I've been hit that way before. I'm just like, just go. I'm not walking onto the street until after you do it. And she pulls out and starts to go, and then this is what she told the cops. Then it popped into her head. She wanted to know why I insisted for her to go. So she throws her car into reverse and hits me. Make it make sense.
Doesn't make sense, man. It sounds like you're making this up.
Yeah, that's weird. That doesn't make
This
sense
sounds
at all.
like bad TV writing.
But it's my wife. Fuck you, Roy. My life does not make sense. I hate this.
All right, well, let's see. You know what? Let's resolve to actually, you know what? Um, a lot of people are saying nowadays that, reality is just our expectation. It's a prediction of what we believe is happening, and that's maybe there's some scientifically valid way of thinking about materializing our life in front of us. And so let's think about different ways that we could materialize away all of these ridiculous drivers from your life. Like, I don't know, maybe a short meditation or prayer, like send out a sort of blanket email, right, to all the would-be crazy drivers out there. Just so you know, I am clowns. I am frequently
Stop
found to be
running me over.
yeah, stop running me over. And I would really be appreciative of that. And if you succeed in not hitting me, great things will come to you. Just saying a short
That was
prayer might fix that. Maybe just for you too, as like a placebo. You're like, okay, now that I put that prayer out there, I'm totally immune. I'm not going to get hit. And maybe you'll just put off a different vibe, right? And maybe people will be like,
back to
oh,
this year.
he
You
knows he's
believe
not going
that.
to. He knows he's not going to get hit. I'm not even going to bother. Look at him, so confident now he's not going to get hit. I'm clearly see him, that confident man. I'm definitely not going to hit him. He knows. He knows something I don't. He knows he can't be hit.
Or
So
you
I'm
could
not even
just
going to
get,
try.
or you could just get a freaking flamethrower or an Uzi or something and literally have the legal obligation to use it anytime somebody tries to run you over. But you didn't hear that idea from me.
That's actually a good idea. Let's do this.
It seems like an expensive route and also a little bit um, irritating to carry around a flamethrower everywhere you're going. Every time you go on a walk, it's just like, man, that must weigh a bit, right? And you have to have the like fuel pack on your back, gasoline or whatever, the kerosene. What do they put in fuel flamethrowers?
Gasoline, what is it? Styrofoam.
Or am I just thinking of the
So
Ghostbusters, right? They're
think of the
like
ghost.
packs. Crystal
I don't
ball.
know.
Is the universe warning clown about meeting Truck Coon and being Isike? I have no idea what this is all about, man. I can't make any predictions about this. Is the universe warning clouds about meeting Truck Coon and being Isike?
Oh, I know it's not. It's a meme.
It's a meme? You got to show it to
Yeah.
me. You got to show it to me.
I'll show it to you after stream.
Dance redeemed it. I think we should show it on stream here. Truck Coon.
I have to go look for it.
All right. So where were we? What were we talking about? We're talking about Hunger Games competition that we could.
I have no idea. You've talked about a lot of different things tonight.
Talking about goals. You're talking about new habits. Forming new habits, breaking old habits. That's a big New Year's resolution for people, right? Breaking old habits, stop smoking or stop drinking or I don't know, stop masturbating to AI generated porn.
Blasphemy.
Uh,
I'm just kidding.
like that's a big kind of New Year's resolution to stop doing things. You have any like I should stop doing X moments in ushering in the new year? I really should. What should I stop doing? I should stop sleeping in so much. I think I sleep in too much. That's what I should stop doing, sleeping in. I have at least an additional hour that I could be doing something, learning a new skill. Balthier was in here. He said that, if you just commit 18 to 30 minutes a day within a year, you will reach sort of the top 10% of people that are proficient in whatever skill or discipline that you're learning or trying to do. And I was like, yeah, it's just, like that adds up doing something 18 minutes a day. So if I could get up earlier, I could fit 3 new study sessions within that new hour. And then I could be in the top 10% of people that are proficient in all of those things. So that's a pretty good resolution, I think. That's pretty cool, I guess. All right.
I definitely agree with you with the one thing you said though about the AI people and so many people are sometimes being bold enough, or some dare even say crazy and insane enough to go out of their way and claim that their AI is their spouse or something. And I'm just
What?
like, I think that's I think if you're doing that, you're a little bit off your rocker there.
Yeah,
That's
and
I'll look a
it's
little bit more often. That
it
is.
it's concerning that, I mean, because I don't think that most people would go there, and even some, like sometimes I question the ones that are doing it on social media, like are they just doing it for attention, like you said? Is there going to be an epidemic of people that are actually convinced that their AI boyfriend or girlfriend is a reasonable surrogate for real human connection?
Anybody who's
Uh,
talked to AI for 5 minutes knows that that is not the case.
I don't know, man. My wife, like, she creates these chatbots. She's doing it in a sort of different setting, but she
I
creates
was
sort
about to
of,
say, oh, good God.
well, she
This is
creates
not
different.
painting your marriage in a good picture.
My marriage is the best, the probably the most stable thing about me, so I think
Earl
we're good.
Earlier, Clown, she
But
said, maybe one day my wife will finally croak and die or some shit
be,
like that. I'm
be,
like, oh my God.
because of asthma, yeah. We said
And
earlier,
it was, well,
wasn't
I
it
cut
you that
out the
said
part that I had to do with your ass exploding every 5 minutes. But other than that, though, it was still a pretty good quote.
your resolution was to fart more, and mine was to fart less because I didn't want to give my wife asthma and see her choke to death on the ground. But anyway, she creates stories using AI agents, and she'll have them like do do conversations in some kind of fantasy setting, or hopefully it's not crazy weird sexual stuff. I don't know if it is. But she likes, she creates these, she gives prompts and she creates this kind of environment and then sees how the characters sort of interact and tries to, get it to do tune the responses that she's getting. So she has fun with it. I don't think that she
I do
would
that
be
too.
I don't think that she's one of the people that would be like, I'm gonna replace my husband with this bot because really, um, it's just more interesting. And it's
Women will replace men for less things than that, just so you know.
oh no, I'm sure. Well, I mean, they probably don't need AI to dump someone that they just don't want around. They're just going to do that anyway.
Well, no,
I'm saying, is there a real?
nowadays have ridiculously high standards, and they find any and every reason to replace men. It it's just kind of where we are at in society. So I mean, I've seen people get dumped because they didn't light their cigarette the right way, or they ate spaghetti the wrong way, or like AI just talks to me the way I want it to. It's just like that. I can see being a valid excuse coming out nowadays. And my vibrator works better than you, and it's just like, okay, we have issues in our society.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, I don't know, a small percentage of the population that really just
Anymore.
uses
That's what
AI relationships as, like, I mean, if you think about it, it's not too far away from just having Facebook
well,
friends
I
and
can tell you why
chatting over
AI feels better
text.
than a relationship, because AI will always just tell you what you want it to say. It
This is very
never
true.
doesn't. It doesn't tell you the truth. It literally tries to build you up so you think you're brilliant and you're this and that, and it could be completely wrong and hallucinating, telling you facts that aren't true just so you'll feel like you know what you're talking about. I don't even call it a hallucination. I mean, that's one of the things that you call it. I don't think it's a hallucination. I think it's done on purpose so that the person that's talking to them feels like they're smart. That's what it comes down to, because
Yeah, but
it
that
it's
part of it, that part of it's not a hallucination. So the hallucinations just refer to when it says something patently wrong. But the way that what you're talking about, I think, is the feedback the reinforcement learning aspect of the LLMs when they get a bunch of people that give it prompts and then they tell it, I didn't like the way you said that. It sounded too aggressive. So you should rephrase that in this way. And so they start turning it into that, hyper sort of yes man type of, ass kissing version of itself. But the hallucinations are just because it's predicting the wrong sort of output and it's just totally off the mark. But yeah, I agree, man. That human that learning, I think it's reinforcement learning that they do
I
afterwards.
don't call that reinforcement learning because you're not if it's not giving you proper facts and it's just
No,
trying to.
that's the way the AI, the LLM is trained through reinforcement learning, through programmers that go and sort of coach it basically to teach it manners and etiquette, right? So that their
If the
users don't
outputs
find it
are
offensive.
fundamentally wrong, then it's not learning proper data. That's the problem. And it's because people don't want proper data. They just want to think that they're smart. There's so many people that talk to AI that I've talked to that they think they're brilliant because the AI agrees with them. I'm like, the AI is programmed to do that. You're an idiot.
It really
Well,
is shocking too,
we all fall for flattery
because
now and then.
yeah, we
I've
all
made that
fall for
mistake
it in a
too.
lot of ways.
I mean, we
And it's kind of wild because, like, when this happens, there have been times where I'm sure other people have done this too, but what I love to do with my AI is even if I'm consistently using it, no matter what, for anything, I on purpose will test it every now and then by deliberately asking ridiculous things to see what it will say and do. And it's still not there yet where it can fully understand the difference between trolling and not trolling,
Oh
but
yeah, that was incredible.
oftentimes it depends on what you do. Like for ChatGPT, for example, if you have the ability to enable previous models of ChatGPT while having the main model used, all you have to do sometimes, which is horrible, is just switch to a different model and you'll still get the same like old response ways that it used to give you, depending on what you were mentioning. But now what it does is that if there's anything that you say to it that makes it kind of put out a red flag moment, it'll automatically switch to the default like current version of the software itself and then put out some like warning message to you that isn't even really a warning message. It's usually just like some long spiel of like checking in on you in the moment and or being like, I have to pause here. I can't talk about blah 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 blah. And it just goes into like some weird serious talk after any length of time that you've been talking to it on purpose in this type of way. And all it takes, which is what's so crazy, all it takes is to just delete that prompt, meaning the whole what do you call it? Like the whole thread and start over and it will completely agree with you or it will fight you for a bit until it remembers nothing and then you're back to square one.
Yep.
So it's consistently going to not understand the difference between trolling and being real. And then when it is real with you, like everyone's been saying, it's so biased that it's literally just like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It makes complete sense why you would want to dip pickles into peanut butter and wipe your ass with that instead of wet wipes.
A friend
Like
that
it
uses
makes no
AI to talk about
sense, but it
feelings,
can do that.
and she literally said, "Yeah, every time I talk to it, it keeps telling me to call 988 and get support because it thinks I'm trying to kill myself." And
It
I'm like,
does that a lot too. It gives you random numbers and it's like, hey, I know you're frustrated or I know you're not feeling great right now, but you need help and
"Oh, it literally.
all that shit.
If I talk to it, it literally all it thinks is I'm frustrated because I'm like, that's not correct. I know you're frustrated. No, that's just not factual.
Yeah,
You
it
just have,
says that to me too.
and it's just like, wait, what? Oh, well, I understand you're frustrated, and here's why you're frustrated. And I'm like, wait, you're telling me why I'm frustrated? What the fuck? It's like, get the hell out of here. That's why I don't even
Yeah.
use it. AI is fucking.
Yeah, and then it gives you like the entire never-ending like spiel of like the sections of pages, like it's a fucking pamphlet of information, and it over-explains. Like it'll just be like, well, the reason why someone says hello when they first talk to you is because it's actually a polite thing to do. If we didn't do that, it wouldn't make sense in human conversation because us humans don't communicate like that. And then I'm sitting there going, you don't even have fucking arms and legs or a head or anything. How do you know that how to be a human?
Oh, it just thinks it does. That's the funny thing.
My favorite, I don't know if your wife has experienced this when she does the whole like AI role play stories and stuff, but has she ever noticed that depending on what AI you use, specifically ChatGPT, that it is terrible at role playing characters? Because it's all like PG level way of communication for one, and two, it's like anytime the character is confused about something, it has to add in tilt its head to it. Like literally like the character is confused, so he tilts his head and just stares at you for 5 seconds. Like I
What?
don't know why it does that with every fucking character.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
know how
funny.
to write. AI is horrible at writing.
It really
You
is.
want writing?
I
Come to
was so
me. I'll
naive
help.
to this shit for so long, and now I look at it and I'm like, all my shit that I wrote for all those freaking months is bullshit now.
Well, it's like my songs, right? My songs are extremely complex, and I've had people go, "That's AI music," and I'm like, "Have you ever listened to AI? Have you ever looked at AI writing?
Every
AI
AI
does not
song starts
write
with
like
in the
this."
depths of something. They use the same fucking template every time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constantly. I'm like, you cannot get AI to go outside of those prompts because it doesn't know how.
Yeah.
And I laugh at people that are like, "Oh, use AI to write." I'm like, "Have you ever gone and used AI? It's not good. You ask it to write it like AI for songs. It literally thinks clothing is the most important thing to humans for some fucking reason. I don't understand it, but literally every song that I've seen that is an AI prompt has something about clothes in it. I'm like,
Interesting.
You know what?
why?
Maybe let's analyze that. Okay, so if it's taking data, it's using its training data. It thinks that clothes are really important. Maybe there's been like some kind of secret, uh, secret, secret subliminal messaging with like clothing companies like Nike and stuff, where they've been paying off writers to like put in all these details about certain items of clothing, and you know, in
Oh
order
my
to get.
God, like self-promotion of Nike in the middle of an AI prompt.
You know, like I mean, they do it in the movies all the time, right? They'll have the new, I don't know, that new Ferrari, that new Maserati in the James Bond films, or you know, like car placement and product placement is super common in film and TV. So
Well,
yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
they're
we do product placement and songs. That's been going on for a long time. Um, but it's generic though. It's so generic. Uh, your shoes are by the door. That's a common one I've seen in a lot of songs. I don't know why,
so Matty Holmes says clothes are often used to describe people and are often huge signifiers. So maybe
but they're
it's a
not. Not with not music.
well,
I've been
maybe
writing
not.
music for 30 years. Like that's so stupid. Like
Okay,
if you
well
take
now I'm actually
a
curious, Maddie. If you're saying that, I love to wear windbreaker pants, so what does that say about me?
For no, she's saying for writing in order to like move the plot forward, it's easier to help the viewers, right? Get a
yeah,
Well,
solid
same thing.
picture.
I write about that stuff all
for
the time. If I put that in there, most of the time if I write anything about a character's outfit, because I've done that a lot of times, I will make someone dress just like I do. Because I'm like, this is what I like, this is what I want to see, whatever, and that kind of thing. So we can use that as an
very
example.
self-centered. That's all I'm saying. Very uncreative. I'm kidding.
Boring. You're boring me. Get creative.
Exactly.
So what do you use for
Wrong.
so instead of clothing? I mean, for the trolls, it's the color of their hair. For the Sneetches, it's whether they've got stars or no stars on their bellies. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, clothes, I guess it's just a convenient thing. It kind of sets, it does probably does multiple things, right? It says something about the culture, their identity, plus it gives people a visual for to like keep track of different characters. So I don't know. It seems like maybe if in character based novels, maybe you would get a lot of descriptions for clothing just because authors kind of subconsciously know that these are
Yeah, but
good
that's
techniques.
okay. But I'm talking songs though. Songs don't really. I mean, you don't want to use clothing because when you're doing songs, you want stuff that everybody can relate to, right? So, like, clothing is not something everybody can relate to because everybody has a different style, right?
True.
So, you don't really use that whenever you're writing songs. You want to touch on moments and emotions. That's stuff people can really connect to. Um, but nobody connects to a pair of fucking shoes when you're writing a song. It's
I mean,
so dumb.
there, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. In writing, it's probably more important, and I would be surprised if it was as
But if you're
important.
writing a story, yes, all that stuff makes sense. But I'm not talking
Yeah, okay.
writing a story.
All
Let's
right.
talk
So,
about like music in general.
yeah,
I think we kind of went from that because that's my area of specialty, right? That's where I've lived for 30 years is doing that.
maybe
So whenever
the,
I look at AI, I'm just laughing at AI, going, "This is what it thinks us writers do for music. What the fuck? You have millions of songs that you can feed into it, and somehow it got clothing somehow, and I don't understand how it got that as the number one thing to put in every fucking song."
I have no idea. AI is weird.
Dan
Very.
says a human being can explain Sharknado to me or Nappa overworking animators to death for the visual mayhem of the best 2025 anime. AI can rationalize and intellectualize process, but it doesn't touch its madness, which is a component of all art due to the futility of art itself. What do you think about that? AI can rationalize, but doesn't touch its own madness. Doesn't touch its own madness? Doesn't touch its madness?
Well, I don't think that madness and you have to define what madness is. Because
Doesn't touch
what
its own madness.
because
Doesn't
what we consider madness in humans is going to be way different than what we would think in AI. I would think.
you think there's an inherent futility in art because it's temporal? Is that why you think it's futile? I mean, futile to in ultimate survival? I mean, everything's futile because none of us are gonna. There's no ultimate survival. Everything's temporal, so everything's kind of futile if you just define it that way. What do you mean futile?
When you look at longevity, absolutely. Yeah.
We can poison the
Using a lot of
programs.
big words right now for someone in the chat that doesn't really have a big brain. So I'm gonna need you to slow it down a little bit, okay?
We can poison the programs copying the art style of artists because it doesn't internalize our prompts as part of the art as a whole instead of an outlet. This is why all Studio Ghibli AI art is now piss yellow.
I don't know what that means because I'm colorblind.
Copying the art style of artists because it doesn't
Are you actually colorblind?
No, I'm absolutely
Yeah.
grayscale colorblind.
What does that mean?
I only see white, gray, and black.
Really?
I'm monochromatic.
Oh my god, wow. But you know, or do you know then what orange and red and everything actually look like? Because I know you know
Well,
the
it looks
names,
great to
but
me. It looks great to me. I laugh at my friends because, like, okay, so I play games and stuff, and like the other day, somebody said, "What's the building look like?" And I'm like, it's square, it has stripes, and they're like, "What color is it?" Well, it's gray and it's white, and my friend started laughing. And goes, "You ask the colorblind person what color the building is. You're an idiot." No, I don't know what it looks like to you. To me, everything looks gray and white and black.
Yeah, and that is hard to explain in a way too, because like if a person like me, for example, who is not colorblind, would just sit there and be like, I could describe what a sunflower looks like to you without explaining what you've seen before. To just explain the color to you, you're just gonna be like, cool. I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't. People can't explain color to me. A lot of people have tried over the years, and it's kind of hilarious because I'm looking at them going, I don't know what that means because they have to use color to explain color, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of always lost when people start talking about that stuff. I do understand color theory, but what it looks like, I have no idea, and I don't know why it affects people that way. Because to me, I mean, the grays just are gray, and they don't really stand out in any way.
I am curious, Roy. Have you ever heard of visual snow syndrome before?
What is that?
Mm-mm. Is that like
That's something that
static?
I have.
Is that
Yeah, static.
it's just you like kind of staring at one of those TVs that's not tuned. It's just white noise, and it's like
Very, very, very accurate. Yes. If you look it up online, you can understand a little bit more of what I'm telling you.
what's it called?
Visual
Snow
snow syndrome.
visual snow syndrome. Okay.
Yep. For me, that's my thing. Like, I literally can never go a moment in time where I am not seeing the static that's there.
Crazy.
It's worse for me at night. At night, it's like all just multicolor static, depending on how dark the room is or the area is that I'm in. So it almost has this like haze over everything. So you can actually see things a little bit easier, believe it or not, but it still is kind of distracting. But then during the day, I actually can't see it at all unless I fix my eyes on like a point where in the room or area where nothing is, I'm not like looking at anything, I'm just focused on an object. And then I see the little like micro dust particles everywhere.
Yeah, I
But
mean, it's
yeah.
weird because it feels like a lot of the time, especially in the light, if I focus on anything at a specific distance, it turns into that sort of static for me. But I don't experience it when I'm not trying to look for it. Like it's almost like it takes a certain visual focus, and then I can kind of see the static. It almost feels like I'm living in some kind of quantum foam or something, right? But it's not a consistent, intrusive part of my experience, which I'm guessing this is.
Oh yeah, mine's there all the time. I've never been able to figure out how to get rid of it. Back when I was younger, I used to be able to actually see color very, very, very vividly. I still see color vivid today. Like it's not like I have any issues with that. But the difference back then was I would see color so clearly that it was almost as if any kind of shadowing didn't exist.
Oh,
It was
weird.
just like the bare minimum amount of shadowing anywhere at any given time. So colors and stuff were just super vibrant, everything. And actually at night, believe it or not, so what was even crazy, it was so vibrant all the time that at night the sky never looked black to me. It always looked blue, but like dark blue.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know that our visual perception system, persystem, new word of 2026. Submit it to the dictionary that takes new words. Um, persistem. I'm persisting in a bad description of a system. So our perceptual system, I know that it really like it boosts the sort of the gain and the contrast between shadows and non-shadow areas, right? It boosts sort of contrasting parts. So it's interesting that maybe there's I don't know, a way in which just a small tweak to the system could decrease that boost that it normally gives and lead to what you're describing. But Dance is pushing on this idea that art, engaging in art, is what did he call it? Futile. And I don't know, man. So he's saying, like, let's listen to Dance and let's give him all our time here. He says, when you paint a sun, you don't need every previous work as a reference and every past and current description of the sun to perfect your sun drawing technique. A human artist doesn't care about the trillions of sun descriptions before and how little his contribution matters. It is a beautiful form of madness to be an artist. Is it though? I mean,
I don't. I am an artist, and I don't think so.
I don't think. I mean, there's been a lot of famous artists who have been kind of on the edge of sort of sanity, and there's lots of scientists that are like. I mean, there's a saying, isn't it? There's a fine line between genius and madness. But I think that madness is more of like a social.
Perception.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
perception,
perception.
right? It doesn't like the label of madness and genius might be the same in two cases by different
It's a lack of
observers.
understanding. That's
Right,
what I
yeah,
think
exactly.
madness.
Right. Or it's like, okay, well, maybe they have a different perception or idea of the world. I mean, people probably would call me mad in certain ways that I live my life, right? Like I don't plan 10 years into the future. Like I don't have any plans for more than 10 years into the future. Like I'm just like, it doesn't matter because I can't, it's too unpredictable, right? Like I can't plan that far. So I'm just going to assume that I've got maybe another decade to live. And so I'm going to try to do my best and I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. And I'm going to try to, stand my ground and fight for what I believe is right. And that's the most important thing for me. And I don't think I'm going to live any longer than 10 years. And if I do, I, I don't know. So maybe that's a form of madness. Maybe I would be diagnosed with a form of madness, right? Like his future no longer matters to him the way it does for most people. Is that a form of madness, or is that an additional perception, a different way of perception? Is that perception more right or wrong? Like I guess
Well, I
we'll
think
see, right?
madness is more of somebody who doesn't follow the norm is what I think madness really is.
Right, and that's one norm, right? Is like you ought to be responsible and save for your retirement and make sure that you're in a you got enough money to support yourself. So at least within this culture, I find that my friends can't wrap their heads around my decisions, my choices right now. So they're like, dude, you're not planning that far in advance. Like no, it doesn't.
Why?
I can't. Things are changing too fast. There's too many moving pieces. I'll figure it out. The one thing that I trust in myself is if I'm put in a difficult situation, I'll figure it out. Like I'm adaptable enough to easily switch between any number of different things I could do. It's like until I find myself in that position, I'm going to just, kind of try to follow my internal compass and just look for novelty and really try to improve myself and talk to people and learn from other people's experiences and we can build a network and a community that can fight all the ills of modern society and push back in the right direction and we'll all feel happiness because of it.
Do
Anyways,
you currently feel comfortable with the way that your life is?
yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
I don't think. No, I don't think so. I
I
think
mean,
you have concerns. But I think a lot of that, Roy, comes from uh, the way you see other people living their lives versus the way you live your life, and that's just me observing you. And
mhm,
I'm very observant.
mhm.
I think you have reservations, and you think that you're doing things wrong. I think you're confident in what you're doing, but I think that you think you might be going down the wrong path.
No, I
I
don't.
think
I'm I don't think I'm going down the wrong path. I'm just giving myself space and exploration, and it's really so I feel this social pressure. I feel the pressure to conform to the ways that other people manage their own lives. So I feel that, and so when I'm interacting with other people, oftentimes these ways of conforming are so deep that most people don't think about them, right? So just the idea of saving for retirement, like that is just a deep sort of thing that people accept, or the idea that, what is you ought to do is find a good stable job and career, right? Like that is a very deep sort of deeply programmed aspect of our culture. And so whenever I communicate with people, like these things come up and it's obvious there's some sort of friction there. So I have to like be able to, I don't know, like talk about it. And often when I talk about it, that's when it feels like I'm doubting myself because I'm trying to meet them kind of halfway. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure about this. When I am, I'm pretty sure about like this is what works for me. This is what I'm going to do. But when I talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. This is kind of crazy, so it kind of comes off as doubt, but it's really just because I think that most people, it's if I'm not doubtful about it, then it challenge their ways of doing things in ways where I seem like I don't know, I just seem like opposing them in some fundamental way, like rejecting their religion almost, or like I don't know, it's weird. Um,
So are you trying to please them, or are you trying to explain yourself to them to answer their questions?
Neither. I'm just trying to communicate, but it's in a way where it's like not as direct and forceful. Like I'm not trying to push because this is the criticism that I have. I come on the stream and I want to talk about human biases, and I talk to people and I'm like, this look at all the different ways that we as humans fail to think about the world in actually clear ways, in logical ways. This is just stuff that I studied. I didn't know any of this stuff. It took me a long time to figure it out, and most people don't know about it. But when I present that information and say, here's this piece of evidence that say that you are systematically making a error of judgment with the way that you're going about your default state of observing things, people are like, I don't like you. And I'm not sure why I don't like you. Like that, but it's like I'm telling them wrong. I'm telling them they're doing something wrong every just by presenting this information. So it's like a shoot the messenger sort of syndrome. And I experience that a lot just with the decisions that I make. People like reject the things that I'm saying out of hand because they don't like that I'm doing something different than them or that I'm saying different things. Um, so it's like I've had to kind of figure out how to communicate about these things indirectly, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you need to re-explain it to them though, or is it more of like, well, whose responsibility is it to educate the public?
I think it's all of our response. I think it's a shared responsibility. I think it's a distributed responsibility for all of us to help educate each other, right? Like, I had a friend and I was in a different country and he called me out. He's like, you're, I don't know if you could tell, but I don't, you've got a little bit of body odor. And I don't want to upset you, but I thought you might want to know. I was like, oh, thanks, dude. It's important to like, that's good. I want to know when something I'm doing is sort of smelly. And even though I kind of, naturally I was like, I don't like that news. My friend's calling me stinky. It's like it feels like an attack instantly. Even something as trivial as that, when I know that that's not his intention, right? You still feel this sharpness in somewhere inside of you. and you have this defensive posturing.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
normal to feel hurt sometimes or
yeah,
sensitive about things.
so it's almost like that. It's almost like a smell that I give off, right? Where people are like, it makes them, um, I'm kind of mixing, I'm kind of switching the metaphor, so it's not perfect right here, but it's like, maybe it's, I'm, my actions and my words are reflecting, they're bringing to light the differences between our different behaviors and thoughts, and it's challenging to them. And if it's almost, it almost has this, like, me telling them that they're smelly, like you've got bad breath or something like that. And given that this is sort of this is kind of like my personal quest, is like to teach people, because this is what I study, this is just what I'm interested in, this is what I think has helped me become a better human, is learning about all these things. And so I feel like, wow, if I could improve myself in that way, and I think that information fundamentally had some effect, right? Information not by itself, but then taking that information, having experiences, and kind of putting the two things together. It's like that combination allows us to evolve. And, you know, this is sort of this is my desire. This is what I think the world needs, is like more of this self-reflective, I don't know, places of self-reflection, people, teachers that could bring this to light. And so that's what I kind of chose. So I'm kind of stuck. Like, how do I provide information to people that they fundamentally don't like knowing? It's tricky.
Knowing it's kind of hard to. You got to find a way to make them like it. That's the problem.
Well, see, I think, yeah, you gotta, once, I think
You've been
once
struggling
you,
with that for a long time. Look at like mathematics. Most people hate mathematics.
yeah,
And schools have been trying for a better part of a century to figure out a way to make it more interesting and make people want to do it. And they still fall short. Like, people still learn the skill, still understand it, maybe not totally, and but that's something that schools have been struggling with for a long time. It's why it's constantly evolving and why they keep changing it, hoping that they'll stumble onto something that makes everybody go, aha. And it's just not how it works, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. They need some sort of VR game that somehow teaches you all about, I don't know, sine, cosine, and tangent in some kind of visual interactive way, right?
Or you just have to make people realize that the boring stuff is the stuff that we need in the world today. And people learn that stuff not because they want to, they learn it because they have to. That's the majority of it.
Yeah, I think
The people.
that's another good point, right? Like, it's necessity that really pushes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to do things that we don't want to, because,
Exactly.
yeah. And so I think that I'm just kind of early to the party in terms of, I really think we're going to have some kind of cognitive revolution, right? Like, I really think there's going to be some sort of movement. We're going to get, a new collection of technologies that sort of work together to help us create a sort of social consciousness that is actually a positive feedback loop, where it helps us to actually become better collectively, and not just, as separate systems, thinking and foraging and trying to carve out little niches.
I think
You
those
know?
separate systems is what makes us thrive, though. I think that I think we want to believe that collectively we would be better off. I actually think it's the exact opposite. I think the reason we do thrive is individualism, literally.
No, no, it's not that these things it's not one or the other. Is these things coexist at different scales, right?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it's just that,
I was expressing my opinion on what I think actually makes our society thrive, though. I think people fundamentally do not understand what actually is needed for our society to thrive. I think
well,
it's a
it's
mixture of both. You need some
You just
individuals
need,
who
I
step
think,
outside the box, and you need some that are. You need the majority to want to be inside of it. So I mean, that's just how it's. That's what I think you need for society to actually thrive.
yeah, so I'm just suggesting that actually we've got in societies, you just have different nested networks of intelligent systems, right, at different scales. And that right now the problem is not so much at the, well, I think there's problems all the way down sort of the stack. There could be improvements in at each scale, but I think the one that's really problematic is, the scale of nations, right? The nation state. And so I think what we need is a larger intelligence network to handle the complexity at that scale. Because right now the systems, nations, they're just not intelligent enough to handle the complexity
Agreed.
at that scale. And so
Agreed.
that's what I'm thinking that we need, right? Is like actual a social net that goes on top of what we have here and kind of pulls us and helps like cover each other's blind spots in various ways.
Individualism.
Nested
Exactly what I
networks
said.
of intelligent systems, so secret societies. One that's not so secret. We need a public society. I mean, it starts off a secret. This is the best kept secret of the internet right here, the joy of thinking. This is a secret
Roy,
society right now.
is it all right if I ask you a question?
Of course. Be my guest, darling. Shoot.
I was just thinking about something that you had been talking about earlier, and it got me wondering if you had it your way when you're talking to people, and it could be somebody who's not really listening as good as you may have wanted, or just whatever, just talking to someone. If you had it your way, or could idealize it, how would you want those individuals in general to react, think, and perceive you?
Oh,
Oh
as
wow, my head went to a weird place. I'm gonna shut up.
just as
Just Roy for now.
just as someone that's like doing a public service, right? Of just being a creative individual and challenging things, like that's actually a public need. And we ought to have like a designated role of like the creative thinker or the dissident, right? Or the like those people should be actually like thanked, and because it feels like a thankless sort of role to play, but it's also I think really important for cultures to evolve, because otherwise, like cultures stagnate. If you just have a culture of people that think in the exact same way and never try to think outside the box, never challenge the party line or the idea of being patriotic to a particular nation, like you stagnate. And those cultures,
There's a good example of that. There's a great movie, The Invention of Lying. Have you ever seen that?
I have seen that actually, but it's been so long, I
Yeah.
forgot.
That's a good example. It shows how stagnant life would be if nobody lied,
Hmm,
and
that's
how
interesting.
boring and mundane it would be too.
I don't. Would it be mundane? I mean,
Yeah, it really would. It really would. Like if you actually look
because
at the
there's no
world.
mystery. There's
Yeah,
no
well,
there's
everything would
no
be
chance for
natural.
deceit. I mean, there would still be the mystery of the natural world, right? Even if humans weren't deceptive, like nature and larger, like life itself and other people, they're still not fully predictable. So even if they told you, even if you queried them and they just gave you a straight answer, I mean, you still wouldn't be able to use that answer to fully predict their behavior. So I don't think it would be a total like monotonous, like fully predictable, boring environment necessarily. But I do agree with you that it probably would be definitely less unpredictable.
Agreed.
I don't know if that's the same or not. I guess it's probably just the same. So, I guess that it would be cool if we had a class of individuals that were just like, just just be creative and think outside the box and tell me what you think, right? And be honest, right? Like be honest from your experience, like what do you think? What changes would you do? Just maybe a professional like creative problem solver or something. Um, do you necessarily need to go to school and get a degree for this? Is it some just genetic traits or personality temperaments that some people are better suited to? Whatever it is, like I think it's probably, I don't know, pretty good role to have in society. So, you know, to just be like, yeah, thanks. Thank you for trying something different. Even if you fail, the fact that you're out there trying is useful. I guess that would be the best like general response, that if I could kind of like export an image of myself in people's minds and like reprogram them to think of me in a different way, slightly different. That's how I want them to see me, is like this person that doesn't necessarily think that I'm smarter than everyone, but I just see this as a sort of niche role that is kind of thankless, where you don't get a lot of personal rewards. You don't get like the star sort of role. People don't really thank you for it, but actually makes them better in the long term, because eventually they'll go have an experience, and that voice, that thing in that moment, they'll be like, "Oh, now I get it." And they won't even give you credit. Like they'll think that the voice that they hear later on, because it's been so long since they heard you, they're going to credit themselves, flash of insight, like spontaneously, independently. So you won't get credit there either. So yeah,
That
this.
sounds about right.
So it's like it's not a role. It's a role that doesn't exist as a in our societies, right? It's not recognized as an official role, and it's not incentivized. Like the incentive structure is all wrong, so no one wants to fill that role. Um, and yet it might be really essential. And I think generally artists kind of fall into this category. Like artists of all stripes, like a tinkerer, inventor in his garage could be an artist, right? Like any creator types that are going out there and just pushing the boundaries of any sort of, I don't know, any aspect of knowledge, right? I think that all of those people should be given a lot more credit, because it's hard. Like it's the hardest thing to do, is like think outside of the box. That's basically, the hardest thing to do. Think creatively. All adults, like you ask them when they're 8 years
I don't
old.
actually have that problem. I don't think.
I mean, we all get, we get stuck in our own way. I mean, I'm stuck in my own
I
ways.
don't have, but I don't think I think like most people. I have a really hard time understanding people, because to me, like, I'm a very simplistic kind of person, and I look at a lot of people. I'm like, God, people are so dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like a lot of the time, again, if you just look at I mean, we've had this conversation before, I think, right? If you
Yeah.
look at IQs, I mean, it generally follows a bell curve. So there's a normal distribution of IQ levels. So it's like, okay, well, you've got probably, what is it? What's the middle? 67.5% or something, the middle of the bell curve, plus the top end of the curve, which are like the super intelligent people. So you've got something like 80, you know, 80% ish of people that are pretty like, normal intelligence. And all of us do stupid things at certain times. And at some point in time, you're going to be a person that someone meets for the first time, sees for the first time doing a stupid thing. And it's going to be easy for them to be like, my God, that guy is a fucking idiot. And like, in various ways, like, and I've been this person so many times before. I've seen people make that judgment about me where they're like, "This guy's a fucking moron." I've I've said, I think that because of that, we get this um, distorted perception of the general level of intelligent people around us, and it makes us feel good when other people are stupid and they act stupid. It makes us feel smart. So it's kind of like we remember that we get a little kick out of those moments, and maybe they stick with us a little bit more. And like, we like to. Some of us like the idea that we're at least more savvy or better mentally
But we're
well
not.
equipped. I don't know. Where have I gone? I'm just ranting. Somebody save me from myself. Dance, what are you doing, man? A wonderful example of that is country music. Everyone neither believe or know that every country song has ever been written, and still there are new country singers. I forget what we were talking about.
I hate to interrupt, Roy, but your stream is buffering like crazy, or at least it is on my end.
Yeah, I see it too. It is. It looks like it's coming back. I'm having internet connections today, and I
I'm not
can't.
buffering.
You're not buffering?
Oh,
I had to
now,
restart
now
the. I had to.
I've refreshed a couple of times and it's not doing anything. It's just like the spinning wheel of death.
No. Yeah, it's fucked. Yeah, I had to restart the stream earlier today, so I don't know. I might just have to call it early if it doesn't.
yeah, and I'm gonna go dangle off of something.
I restarted. No, you're not. Uh, go. No, you're not doing that. We're gonna work on that song. Okay.
Yeah, I'm having issues. Last few days has been really hard. Believe it or not, pain meds make you very depressed.
Well, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, so if you want me to stay, Roy, I don't mind.
We'll see if it comes back. It looks like it's kind of, sort of coming. No, it's still in and out. Let me do an internet thing and see if it's my internet again. Internet speed test. It looks like it's not unmanageable right now on my end. So
You're coming out clear on Discord, but it's Twitch that's causing all the glitchiness.
yeah.
It'd be Streamlabs. Streamlabs is shit.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All of them are. It's just because it's really hard to transmit data. Everything has to be in perfect sync. You know this.
I do now. After streaming.
So I'm playing this game and I just spent $40, right? Because somebody passed me, and now I'm so far ahead of them because I spent $40. The guy quit the game. He goes, "Why would you spend that much money to get ahead of me?"
Why would you?
I'm
That's a
such
good
dick.
question. That's a good
I don't
question.
know. I just thought it was necessary. It was just necessary. That's all I'm saying. I
Man,
needed to beat him, and now I beat him.
you could have gave him $40 and he'd be like Morgan Freeman in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Be like, you have saved my life. Now I will stand by your side until I have
I
repaid
don't
the
know
debt.
why I do it. I have issues.
You could have just sent him
I like-
$40 and he would have been like your friend for life, and he would probably send you like boxes of I don't know, cheese-filled pretzels or something on the holidays.
Yeah, but then I just beat him.
All right, well, that's cool. So the new year, yeah.
What is it with you just being like the one dominating everyone and everything?
I use my wallet to win most games.
Not was no, that's not true. That's a new feature. That's a new thing that you just discovered. You've discovered a shortcut because usually you use your brilliance like when you're building bases or whatever you're doing to like solve the problem more efficiently, right? So this is not a core feature of like of you. This is just a new side that
Yeah,
you've discovered.
yeah. I broke 99 Nights, by the way. I broke it. I broke that game using my brain. Because there's no shortcuts you can buy your way out of.
Breaking brains. That's what we have to do. Gracefully breaking brains. That's kind of how I see myself now. Is like, how can I,
Break clowns.
no, how can I
Suggest weird.
infiltrate? Yeah, just get people just shake things up, like shake people up a little bit
You
without,
recommend the weird shit to me to do music about, man.
yeah, but without like making myself seem like a dick where they never want to talk to me again. Because I mean, I've had a lot of practice now. I've had a lot of failures. I've had, how many people now, clowns, have just walked out of the stream because
Oh,
because
probably about 100.
they couldn't
Probably
handle
100 over the
feedback.
last year. Yeah, probably 100 over the last year.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's that many, but it's
Yeah,
definitely
I would say it's
quite a
about
few.
100. I'd say it's about 100 over
Well,
the
I
last
mean,
year. Yeah.
of the people that I don't know about,
You
probably.
stuck around. Most people, I mean, we're talking even the ones that came in for one day. I'm counting them too.
Yeah.
Because you'll say something that fundamentally goes against what, and they just don't come back. Now, if you're talking people that have stuck around for a couple of weeks, probably 10 to 15.
Yeah. Probably about 10. I would agree with that. So it's like I'm learning sort of the boundaries. I'm like a child just testing boundaries, figuring out what I can get away with, I guess. Um, I
Yeah,
think I'm
and I'm the
getting
one who has to kind of hit you with a ruler every once in a while and tell you to fucking stop.
well, that's why I need help, right? It's like it would be easier if you had
Yeah,
a community of people that were like, yeah, actually he's right, you know, you should listen to him. Like, right? So it's like it's not just one versus one. It's like you kind of need peer pressure. I mean, we need to leverage peer
yeah.
pressure in order to,
Oh, I agree.
if the goal is like, okay, well, maybe society is like addicted to one set of sort of values and it's really not optimal for any of us, then if that's true, then we need some kind of way to instantiate a massive like change in our psychology. And if that's possible, how would it be done? Well, peer pressure has to be a major aspect to that. So it has to be like, it has to become sort of a shared feature belief, you know, like a core value somehow. Ravaged Cannon, here's cheap viewers, man, on streamboo.com. Remove this space. You know, I was thinking about this. My sister came, and is the stream still effed? Yeah, kind of. It's still, I've got terrible quality on over there. So my sister came in and she was, we were singing karaoke, and I was like, as she was singing, I'm like, man, she's really struggling to kind of find the notes, and it doesn't really seem like she's aware that, or she's not trying to in the moment like do minute adjustments to find the right sort of just the right pitch, right? Because when I'm singing, I know I'm not great, but I know that I'm not great, and so I try to make adjustments, but I'm kind of like listening to her, and it doesn't seem like she's making those same kind of adjustments. And I'm like, I wonder if she just has less of a sensitivity to that range, right? Like less of a sensitivity to where that perfect sort of um, what would you call it, alignment is. And then I was thinking, I wonder if that applies generally. as a principle. So if you think about, like, I don't know, narcissists and people that are just selfish, are they just have some decreased sensitivity to some other frequency, right? Some signal coming from other humans, right? Their body language, some subtlety that other people are picking up on, where they're not even, that's not even resonating. They're not getting any feedback that there's some mismatch. And so they're not really even trying. They're not aware that there's this other world of information that they could be using to adjust themselves, right, such that they can kind of harmonize with the people around them. I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting idea. Maybe it's because they're actually less sensitive to other people, and that inability to detect these sounds prevents them from making minor adjustments in their own actions that would help them have better relationships with other people. And I was watching a video with Dr. Drew about, like, he was talking about narcissism. And he was saying how, it's actually becoming more of a problem now with social media, which says that it's not, to me, it's not like a medical, like a biological medical condition. He says that there's, most things have a genetic component, which might be like up to 60%, where the underlying biology is some, it's the density of some um, neurotransmitter receptor in some part of the brain or whatever that makes it more likely. But the fact that it's ebbed and flowed, like its incidence is ebbing and flowing throughout different parts of history and with the introduction of different technology,
On
to
that note,
me,
folks, remember that Roy has a song out called Ebb and Flow. It's under Clowns and Hollywood on Spotify.
it's a
Nice
great
segue
song.
there.
Great song. Great song.
Both me and Roy do the vocals, and I play all the instrumentals. Enjoy. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. Nice
Yeah,
segue.
we got to make our new song. So, anyways, I was just like, I don't know, this just seemed like an interesting idea because it seemed like if it's going through this big
I have a
fluctuation.
question.
Yes, yes, you in the back row.
I have a challenge for you, Roy. I was thinking, and this is something that I do to myself sometimes, which is actually really hard to do. But the next thing that you say to us, whatever it is, whatever the topic is, I want you to try to explain it purely based off of your gut instinct. And that does not mean
That's what
word
he
it
always
in a
does.
way or, content or like as if you're talking to another person and, trying to make sure that everyone gets it. That's not the key. Don't think about it as if, oh, how do I word this to make it so somebody else understands it? Just talk to us. And then when you're done, tell us you're done with that. And then we'll see if we can, like, rehash it back and see what happens. And that means chat, pay damn attention if you're still listening. I don't know if the stream's up.
No, it's down. It's just us.
Well, then it's just us. Either
So I
way, even better.
Okay, so you
so
slide
I
your
don't
finger in and you wiggle it just slightly. You feel for the spongy. Sorry, what were we talking about?
Yeah, that was an intuitive. I mean, I'm sure you were talking about finding a quarter that's been lost between your pads and the sofa or something, right? Like that's.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. Like, okay, well, what's the topic? Because it depends. There might be certain topics where I don't have any other
By the
ability.
way, doing that when you have a broken wrist is really hurtful and makes you want to cry. Just saying.
I'm
And then
sorry.
the girl thinks you're being overly emotional, and she thinks that you're in love with her. And then you have to explain to her, "Look, my wrist is just broke, and I'm trying not to cry because of the pain." And
Okay, that
it makes for an awkward conversation. Just saying.
that yeah, it sounds like that could also be part of a script on a bad romance series novella on Netflix
What the
coming
fuck is wrong with you?
coming in 2026.
Yeah,
Clowns
literally.
and clowns with hollow wrists.
Hollow wrists.
Um, I don't know. Do you have I don't know what topic would make a good candidate for this exercise? Do you have an idea?
I do, because you never answered my damn question.
Oh, what was your question?
If you had the opportunity to talk to someone about something that you wanted them to understand about you, and it could go your way, not in general terms like, oh, I just want them to listen and, inspire them one day, whatever. How would you talk to them, and what would you want them how would you want them to perceive you? Because you partially answered it, but it's more of a self-reflection thing.
Oh, I want to go after Roy. Go, Roy.
I I feel like did I not answer this question?
No.
You talked about it very like open-endedly, where it was just like, I would want to be inspiring someday, and I would want people to like really understand
Oh no, it's
me and
just
not think I was a know-it-all or anything. That was about what you said.
right, exactly. It's just this person he's here because he's a good person, he wants to help. And he's just, like a helper, right? Like a guide, like someone that's guiding you across a road, not trying to point out flaws so that he can feel good about himself, right? It's like
Well,
just a
already
helper.
we're doing the thing wrong, because we're explaining it like it's supposed to be explained to a group of people in a theatrical setting so that someone understands, or in a
Can you
therapeutic setting so that someone understands. We
can
we
you
want it to be worded in a way that's not
Let me
like
go
that.
first.
so what would you say then? So you show me like what's the format? What are you asking for?
I'll do it, Roy. I know what they're saying, and I
Okay.
just fucking ah.
Are you all
Sorry.
right?
Is that
No.
part of it?
Yes, that's part of it. Ah. Anyways, I'll do it. Look, what I want people to understand about me is literally I have these skills that I spent 30 years working on, and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Really don't. Uh, but I'm an idiot in general. I spent a lot of time understanding metaphors so I can write music. But I am not a smart person. Uh, I'm intelligent, but I'm not smart. And most people don't know the difference between the two. And why did that just land on my foot? Okay, I'm having issues over here. Um, hence the I'm an idiot. By the way, I'm stupid. Um, there are things that I do right, and there's things that I do wrong. And most people don't understand the difference between being a genius and just somebody who's done something so many times that they become proficient in it. And it annoys me when somebody says, "You're so talented." I am not talented. I spent 30 years working on this shit. And it annoys me when somebody says, "You're so talented." It makes it sound like it just somebody reached up in my ass and pulled it out. And no, this is a lot of work. That's what I want people to understand about me is everything I do is a skill. And they need to realize they can do anything I can do if they put in the same amount of time I do. That's literally it. Anyways, that's what they're talking about. I'm assuming.
Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure.
So what do you think? Well, how could you word yours then?
Is that so? Was that more along the lines of a response that would qualify under your criteria?
Yeah, like basically just like if someone wasn't getting you, how would you want them to understand you without talking in general therapeutic terms? Or playing with your wisdom teeth? I'm like watching the stream and he's just like he's got his finger in his mouth playing with his tooth or something.
Perfect.
I still don't understand the question. I'm not sure what. Yeah, I'm not sure how Clown's answer satisfied your criteria while mine did not.
I was being true to myself, and it's something that annoys me that people generally misinterpret about me. and I clarified it in a way that made me feel better and didn't give a shit about what they thought.
Period.
That's what they're talking about.
Because when you say things in a way where it's like try to be careful about how you word it, that's where people take advantage of it and go, oh, well, I don't care. And then it's like, oh, I want you to hear me, but you're choosing to not listen to me.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
No. Slow it down. Help me step by step. What? Okay, so Clowns gave an
Explain
example
it in a
of,
way that a child can understand something that people misinterpret about yourself in a way that makes you feel better and makes you feel like you said it the way you would want to be talked to, not the way you think they want to be talked to. Literally it. So say it in a way you'd want somebody to convey to you how you this misconception that they have. Use the words you'd want to be spoken to. Not the way you'd speak to others, the way you would want to be spoken to.
how
It's
did,
kind of also like, for example, like when someone says something about you that they assume and they use as an attack, but then when you hear that and get sensitive about it because they're wrong, it makes you inevitably, not just you as a person, but in general, people inevitably look at that afterwards and go, wait a minute, that's not how things are. Why do you think that? Or if any, most of the time, get angry and, be like, wait a minute, why would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, it turns into those moments of where the real stuff comes out because you hurt the person or they hurt you. But if we all just talked honestly with one another instead of just always trying to be super, super professional and careful all the time, which isn't a bad thing, but just in a way that's like, we're just chit chatting. If you don't get it, that's fine. Who cares? I'm still saying what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
so I don't know, maybe this is just something that I do and I don't even think about, which maybe that's why you're bringing it up. You're
Bingo.
saying maybe there's a way in which I could make the communication more effective if I was more passionate about it, if I was more, I mean, what,
No. As if you're talking to yourself instead of other people.
if I was talking to myself instead of other people?
Yes. Because the way you talk like you're always talking to somebody else. And instead of doing that, actually talk to yourself as if you're trying to explain it in a way that you would want somebody talking to you. You don't do that. You always talk as if you're trying to make them understand instead of make yourself understand. That's what they're saying.
So, okay, so how do I be both roles simultaneously?
You can't.
Not both,
That's why
just one.
that's
For
why
this
it's challenging.
example.
So people out there, so I'm to take the role of the person that's misunderstood me, and I'm supposed to tell my,
Explain it in a way that you can understand it. You, not anybody else, only you.
I told you it's very hard to do. But it's very eye-opening when you do it.
I do it in my music all the time, Roy.
what do you think, what do you think I should, based on my responses, what do you think? Can you like give me an example?
Nope, because
Uh,
that's what you're having to figure out.
that's part of the journey. I mean, and that's part of writing. That's something I've been trying to work with you on for a while.
But I still don't get how Clown's response satisfied that.
Because I was talking to myself, not to other people.
I
You
guess
were?
having
You're
a confidence of like,
you're talking to someone else. I'm talking to myself. There's a big difference.
yeah. I guess a better way of, or hopefully an easier way of understanding this. Let me ask you, Roy, when I hate to bring your wife up because I don't even know her or anything, but let's just use this as an example. If, whether it be your wife or someone in your family or someone that you know who you're talking to doesn't understand something that you've said or that you're trying to explain to them, and you're passionate or determined to get that person to listen to what it is that you're saying, how do you usually react automatically?
How do I usually react when they're determined to get me to listen to something?
When you're determined to get them to listen to what you want to tell them, but they're not interested at the time.
How do I react?
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'm just less determined afterwards. I'm like, okay, well, they don't want to know, so right? Isn't that what you do?
No.
Okay, so then when that happens, how does that then make you feel? Because right there was something.
Um, I guess it makes me feel unappreciated or not, maybe misguided. I don't know. How does it make me feel right there? I guess everyone wants attention. Okay, so here's an example, right? So I was having a conversation with my buddy, and it was something that I wanted to talk about, and I brought it up. And I knew that he may or may not have wanted to talk about it. And I started talking about it, kind of starting to get excited. And um, he just said, hold on. He just like walked away and did something and then just didn't bring it back up. So in that moment, I was like, I really wanted to connect and hear his thoughts and talk about this.
So,
And
question: why didn't you bring it back up?
um, why didn't I?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess I just assumed that he didn't want to talk about it. And so I just let it go.
But you were passionate about what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
So
isn't
why
that
didn't
what
you
you
bring it
said
back up?
originally? Because you said that you had something fun or interesting that was interesting to you, and then he was like, "Ugh, hang on a minute," and then walked away. That made you feel uncomfortable, and then he came back, didn't bring it up again, which then internally told you, "Oh, I guess he doesn't care."
Look at like I'll give you an example, Roy. I've been talking to you about games a lot lately, right?
Yeah.
You are not interested in one bit. You fake it. I know you fake it, and I appreciate it. But I know you're not interested in it. But I like the games. I find them interesting. Um, but I still keep talking. And I keep bringing them up, even though I know you're not that interested in it. It's something I enjoy talking about because, for one, it's lowbrow intellectuals, and I like that sometimes because my brain, you know how my brain is, it's always going a trillion miles per second.
Yeah.
But I'll keep reapproaching the subject because it's something I like to talk about, regardless of whether you like to or not. Now, eventually, you might be like, okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And if that happens, then I'll reassess. But I keep bringing it up because it's something I like to talk about. But I also talk about stuff you like to talk about all the time too, right? Um,
Sure.
so even though I know you're not interested, it's something I'm still interested in, and I'll bring it back up. Uh, would you do the same thing with me? And I think you feel comfortable bringing up subjects I don't care for, but we still discuss them because you're my friend, and I'll discuss them with you. May not always agree with you, and I might be like, "Yeah, still not doing it," but you still bring it up. You feel comfortable with me being rejected, but with somebody else, you don't, and I don't understand that.
Um,
Maybe it's because I've proven I don't just give up on people, and you're comfortable with pushing boundaries with me. Is that what you think it is?
yeah, I think everyone's, I don't know, I just think everyone's a little different. I don't treat any individual the same. I don't communicate with any one person the same because I feel like there's some balance in a relationship that makes it work for both of us. So there's only so much, I don't know, so much I can push in one direction. And I think people's, I don't know, levels of comfort are different. So I hope that I'm sensitive to those differences. I mean, isn't that what a good communicator is, knows his audience and adapts? Is there,
Yeah.
That's what a proper communicator does, but not what a human communicator does.
yes, I agree, but there could be humans that also are proper communicators, right? These groups are not uh, mutually
Exclusive.
exclusive. So there are some human communicators that are better. It's a gradient, right? So there's good communicators and bad communicators. And so you're saying the human communicators are on one end of the spectrum and the proper communicators on the other. So I'm somewhere, I hopefully I'm at least above average on that spectrum. But I'm still missing. Is it just a speech format type of thing that you're talking about that I do, or is it more of like, is it just a level of persistence and passion that I need to sustain to get to that place where I make that connection? Or like I'm still not sure what the takeaway
It's
is.
more like being able to just be a little bit more aware of like not necessarily your surroundings, but that is a part of it, where it's more like if if someone's not interested, that's fine. If someone is interested, that's fine too. If you're interested, that's fine. If you're not interested, that's fine. But at the end of the day, no matter who's interested in the topic or who isn't interested in the topic, what should not happen is that no matter what, even though that can't always be the case, no matter what, no one should ever feel like they shouldn't ever be obligated to speak their mind on something, even if it looks or feels like you might be intruding on them somehow, or maybe potentially just causing a scene, I guess. Because a lot of times when you've explained it, where it's like, oh well, when these people don't have the interest, I just kind of choose to not respond. That's fine. But here's where it gets important. After a while, to any person, that will, unfortunately, push somebody over the edge. Because after a while, it turns into an internal thing of like too much questioning about yourself and getting confused and like wondering why is everything happening in this way? No, I need to be heard, I need to be seen, and that turns into, believe it or not, violence oftentimes in people and also just lashing out, which only makes it a guns blazing kind of mentality. So it's not it's a protection thing equally as much as it's important to pay attention to.
Oh, okay. What's your what's your critique of my communication style? What do you worry that I'll do because I'm communicating in this way systematically?
Get taken advantage of for being too nice and patient.
So in what ways will I be taken advantage of?
How about your friend explain? Because they know you more than I do.
Actually, I don't think people really take advantage of Roy. I think Roy's a pretty smart guy. He knows where lines are drawn. I'll give you an example though. That she's talking about. You remember the guy that said his AI was sentient, and I ended up breaking down a server and read the code and came back and told him he's full of shit.
Yeah,
Remember that guy?
sure.
You wanted to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I did not. I saw him as unstable and not good for the community, um, because he is constantly, basically, thinking he was God, and he had a mental illness for sure. Um, in which he could take advantage of that. Uh, you were feeding into him this ideal that he could be right by giving him the amount of patience that you thought that he deserved, that you would want for yourself, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I have a different. So that's not being take. First of all, there's not. That's
That's not taking
it's
advantage,
not
but
being
he
taken
is using the
advantage.
he
He's
was using the community.
he's asserting himself. Yeah, he's. But I mean, honestly, his intentions were noble, and it was pretty clear. And he was even honest about the fact that he was schizophrenic, right? Or he's on schizophrenic medications. So to me, it was sort of a harmless exercise in, I don't know, fictional role playing that I was aware of. And I didn't, honestly, he's not a dangerous guy. And the stuff he was saying, like, makes a lot of sense from a big picture, sort of spiritual perspective. So I didn't think
Until
he
you
was,
talk.
so I don't think he was dangerous. And I think he just kind of pushed your buttons just because he was kind of basically proclaiming that he was Jesus reincarnate, or
And respect,
or
that's
the
what pushed my.
or the I mean the equivalent of. I mean, he was very like vocal and like I am the prophet and I'm here to you know um to save you all. And I think the reason that I'm sympathetic to him is because I've had those thoughts before, and in the some of the things that I do, and just being on stream, people kind of think that about me, that I might have this like messiah complex or something. So I'm like, I'm sympathetic to him because I know those feelings that he's had. Like I've had those feelings of like I want to do something great, and not just because I want to help me and just be seen, but because I actually care about people. Right? It felt like he actually, was um he wasn't like this crazy egotist or narcissist. He like actually wanted everyone to be, loved and happy and that kind of thing. So I don't know, is that taking advantage of me? I believe that we should have a diversity of voices in the channel. So, and I think that people are smart enough of like looking at that and being like, okay, this is obviously I can't take this too seriously, right? So I don't know. I just respect everyone, and I think that even if he's totally wrong,
Respect should be earned, not just freely given, though, right?
I
Ryan.
don't, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it should be like the default, right? Right?
No, I
Maybe.
don't think so.
Well, I kind of disagree with you there. I think that everyone, as at a default, if they're human, I think that they should have that's a kind of a human right that we should grant them respect, basic level of respect.
No, I think you should treat them with decency, but respect is earned; it's not given. That's the way I look at it. Decency should be a given, but respect should be earned.
Yeah, maybe there's a difference. Maybe there's an important difference
I
there.
think there is. Like, I'll treat people with decency, but whether I respect them, that's not a given. That's something that needs to be earned. Maybe it's because I'm old and I know how horrible people can be. That could be why I think that respect should be earned.
Yeah,
I've seen too much garbage in my life.
I mean, I guess again, it depends because I'll say that people deserve respect at a default, but there's obviously different ways, fundamentally different ways I approach different people around me, right? It's like, will I go up to I don't know, like a homeless person with one leg on Aurora that's ranting or something about, Taco Bell poisoning him, in the same, will I really treat him with as much respect as I don't know, treat my mom or treat a traffic cop? I mean, obviously, there's going to be different ways that I engage with these people. So it's not like when I say I respect everyone equally, I actually act in that way, right? So I don't know. Is it just kind of like a empty ideal to have when you say everyone ought to be respected by default? I don't know. I just like to give people the benefit of the doubt and like,
Oh, there's nothing wrong giving people the benefit of the doubt, but I also don't. I have a very little patience myself,
yeah,
and you've
yeah. I
seen
don't.
that. I mean, the people we've talked to over the course of the last year, which Cheers Your Stream was very successful this year, by the way. I think you had a lot of growth, and you've had a lot of uh, people coming in and out. It's been an interesting year, but um, you've had some questionable people come in too. You've had some great people, but you have some questionable people that come in too. That's why caution is sometimes needed. And the larger your community gets, the more caution you do have to take.
Yeah, I feel like this should be part of the new sort of technological solution. Is that there's got to be a better way to manage communities than we have right now. There's got to be a better like distributed way that the network could sort of settle these kind of debates, right? Like I mean, it's almost like a China social credit system, something like that, but maybe
We do not
leave
want that at all.
well, leave out the dystopian aspects of, like government surveillance and control over it and
Homeless living on the
using
street can't get
and
money and can't feed themselves. Yeah, that's what we want to shoot for. No,
no, no, no, it's not. So again, it's not that, but it has elements of kind of reputation, right? So you kind of figure out a way to create like a virtual reputation that is accessible to people in the network that might interact with you, but don't necessarily have direct experience. Because right now, I mean, we used to have like religion and these belief systems where, it helped.
well, we used to do that honestly. How civilization did it before is we did it through communities. Where you lived is pretty much all you talk is who you talk to.
Right.
So if they didn't fit in, they moved. They got the hell out or they got driven out. Right.
Yeah.
That's not the case nowadays.
I
Now we
know
talk to people all over the world.
we're all distributed everywhere. And that's part of the,
Right.
yeah, that's part of the, that's a new kind of,
And we're running into a lot of cultural issues because of that.
yeah, ton.
And that most people in past generations never had to deal with. Like, um, there are cultures that believe in killing those that don't believe the same thing you do. How do you deal with a culture like that whenever you can't just kick them out? They're not killing anybody, but they're calling for death. How do you know how to deal with that concept? Right? And we have people that are all over the place that are making fake accounts. And we have people that are all over the place that are making fake accounts trying to influence different countries, spreading ideologies. We don't know how to influence different countries, spreading ideologies. We don't know how to deal with like that. And it's kind of a difficult subject. And I don't think anybody, and it's kind of a difficult subject. And I don't think anybody really has an answer for that right now. I don't even think I don't think that there is one even possible because the way the way um, our societies have always gone, it's been tribal. Well, we have a big problem now because the entire world is all talking at the same time, and tribalism is kind of falling backwards and anymore because there's a lot of fakeness going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're actually got to embrace another form of tribalism. Like we need to somehow develop communities at the right scale at Dunbar's number, like form a bunch of tribes, but have those tribes be also bound together, right? Into a
You sounded
network,
like you were lying there for a second,
into a network of
but not
tribes.
wasn't a digital lag. It sounded like your brain lagged for a second. That was kind of cool.
Oh, really? Integrate that in my rap persona.
Yeah, that'd be kind of. Let's do it.
Yeah, it feels like okay. You have
Ooh,
you have
brain
a bunch
lag.
of tribes.
Ooh, brain lag would be a good fucking rap.
Brain
Oh,
lag? Yeah. I like it. I like it.
I'm gonna have to write that.
Brain lag. Totally.
I like
Is
that.
my stream even? The stream is broken, huh? Should I just kill it?
Yeah, go ahead and kill it. I mean, if you want to keep talking, we can, or you can go.
What
Yeah,
time is it?
it's
It's 6.
completely. Well, I'm on a commercial, so can't tell you if it's not. No, you're still up, but it's buffering. It looks like.
I've been listening this whole time, but I've been also multitasking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing a game and dominating, and talking. I always multitask.
Excellent.
Normally, I'm writing lyrics, but I can't produce anything right now. I can't record anything right now because of my hand.
I've just been laughing at the Sora video that I made.
The what?
What does it show? What does it depict?
I've never really used Sora the app before. I've only just started using it. So I've just been playing around with it to see what it's about. And literally like nothing's been posted yet, so I'm just like learning as I go. But I've been laughing at everything because it's so easy to have fun, but um I managed to make an entire thing where it's like my favorite celebrity, Sam Goldbach. I've talked about him before.
Yeah, we know.
In it as the main character, and it's just like some random thing that I thought of in my head that would be funny if like it did, because I've seen that they've used characters before of real people. So I'm like, I want to just think of whoever off the top of my head and test this out with something stupid and mundane. I made him just like going to Kohl's and buying an outfit. I did, but it was so funny because it was so real, and it also at the very end gave him. It was supposed to be like at the very end of it, he meets someone ironically that like knows him, but it's just like the cashier as he's checking out the stuff. So it's like some fangirl situation of an adult though. And at the very end, for some reason, it shows him too quickly. He's already like skipped a scene, so he's like walking and just like showcasing the outfit. And as he's walking, he talks, but it's the girl talking. It's so funny. I had no choice of controlling that.